Welcome back. Right here, right now. It's Stray Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. Forest Wood Cup Day 2, 2018 edition. And I think everybody knows who America's favorite fisherman is.
Hey, it's good to be here, man. I tell you what, this is a great event out here. You know, we're into the second day now. They're going to be cutting back to the top 10 after today, and boy, this tournament's close.
Absolutely. Give it up for Jimmy Houston. Yes. Whoa.
Oh, listen to that. All right.
Wow. You feel like you're at a rock concert right now, Jimmy?
Well, I tell you what, I live a rock concert, man. That's what it is. That's my life. Yeah, it's more fun than stomping baby chickens.
I guess that would be fun.
Well, we have a big Tyson plant not too far down the road, so you got to be careful about that.
So you got a side job?
A couple years ago, some guys at Tyson actually got in trouble for doing that.
You save the chickens, kill the seals.
Well, it's kind of strange to me. They were having a good time stomping baby chickens, and yet what are they going to do with the chickens anyway?
We're going to eat them.
They're going to eat them anyhow. So, I don't know. I guess they're just something about a baby chicken.
What are you even saying?
I don't know. I'm just saying. They really got in trouble for that. We did a big Tyson plant not too far from here. Yeah. They work 24 hours a day down there. The chickens work all the time. And the chickens are really committed to their job.
All they got to do is be chickens.
Yeah,
that's
they
right.
got it easy,
That's right.
Until they get stomped.
Yeah, no, they're committed, especially those fryers. They're really committed to their job. The laying hens, they're just dedicated.
Yeah.
You figure if you have ham and eggs for breakfast that the pig is committed to his job. The chicken is just dedicated.
It's a vicious cycle, Jimmy.
That's it. She's dedicated. That's all.
It's a vicious cycle. America's.
I thought we was talking about fishing.
No, we don't really talk too much about fishing. You know that about this show. We talk about everything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. But talking about fishing, the term America's favorite fisherman. How did that come about?
Well, actually, we sort of started that ourselves.
Like the Rolling Stones did the world's greatest rock and roll band.
That's exactly right. And we stole that, not from the Stones, but we really stole that from Ted Turner. If you will remember, a long time ago, channel when TBS out of Atlanta was a small channel out of North Carolina, and he moved that station to Atlanta simply because I think he was in Charlotte. And he moved it to, and it was TBS, Turner Broadcasting Systems, TBS, and made it available nationwide. He was one of the first, actually the first station that was available nationwide, and he started calling that. He owned the Atlanta Braves, and he started calling the Atlanta Braves America's team.
Right.
And they weren't America's team. They weren't very good at all back in those days. But because of the fact that he ran the Atlanta Braves on his station, they became America's team because they were available all over the nation. In a lot of areas that did not have Major League Baseball, they followed the Braves because they could see them on television every day.
Same as the Cubs with the WGN.
They followed. The Cubs did that later on, but Ted Turner started calling the Atlanta Braves on channels TBS which is channel 17 out of Atlanta. Started calling them America's team, and we started our fishing show back 43 years ago.
Wow!
And so we were fishing. Had been fishing tournaments, had good success at that, but so we just started from the get-go calling it America's favorite fisherman.
Dude, that's genius.
And I don't know if it's genius, but it worked.
No, it is.
And,
like Muhammad Ali, I am the greatest. It's the same principle.
Yes. And so, outdoor writers picked that up. Everyone picked that up, and we did interviews. We talked to people around. That's how they started introducing me. And over a period of time, we perhaps became that, certainly the most recognizable fisherman maybe in the world because of my goofy Donald Trump hair. Which he likes, by the way.
I heard about that.
He told me he liked my hair.
I heard you sold him a Ranger, too.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. I gave him a real good deal on it. If it would have been an airplane, the same price, I figured it'd been about 70 or 80 million. So I sold him that brand new Ranger boat I sold it to him for $312,000, which I thought was
That's
a
fair.
really good
It's very
buy.
fair.
He asked me, he said, "What's these boats running?" I said, "They run about $1 million." But for you, Mr. Prez,
Got a deal
312,
for you.
312.
Got it. You
Just
know,
under his yearly
Yeah.
salary.
and I told him we'd give him a tank of gas and fill it up with Pennzoil Marine.
why not? Why not? Boom. Hashtag Pennzoil Marine.
Hey, we put Shell gas, Pennzoil Marine. He's ready to rock and roll. He's ready to rock and roll.
You know who else is subscribing to your theory of marketing? Joe Opagger from FLW over here. He actually has the most awesome FLW employee is under his title right now. Did you know that?
I thought he was the most awesome employee.
Well, he is. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
thought Super Joe is what we call him.
Hashtag Super Joe.
Hashtag Super Joe. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
It's right there, man. 43 years.
Yeah,
of
it's
television.
It's a long time.
That's better than Seinfeld.
Yeah, I started when I was 12. You know, really and truly, when you look at the top longest running shows on television, period, not outdoor shows, but just shows, period, Bill Dance and Roland Martin and myself are three of the top, probably now the top 4 or 5 shows. I think maybe General Hospital might go back a little bit.
Okay.
A couple of the only ones that beat us out a few years ago. I haven't seen the list lately, but the only ones that beat us out a few years ago was some of the soap soap opera shows,
Wow.
All My Children, and some of those have gone away. Some of those have quit. So but within a doubt, the top 6 or 7 shows. Longest running shows in the nation. And I think the most enjoyable to watch, too.
Amazing.
I'm just saying that's a personal opinion.
Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy, Brian the Carpenter from the Ike Live show wants to know who was the influence for your haircut.
I had no influence at all for this haircut. I just always worn
original.
it this way. And you know, our president is wearing his this way because his is like mine. It's thinning in places, but he moves his in several different directions to get it all covered up. But he likes it. I told him I liked his hair, and he said, "I really like yours."
It was tested in a wind tunnel.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got to thinking, and I've always, from day one, I thought Donald Trump's hair and mine were pretty kooky and pretty similar and pretty wild, but I got to thinking up there. I said, well, he's got a lot more expensive hairdresser than I do. But then I got to thinking, my hairdresser is my first wife of 50 some odd years. So my hairdresser is definitely much more expensive than his.
Yes.
I don't care what we're paying to keep his hair looking good. Yeah. I've been under house arrest to the same woman for 54 years.
I saw your ankle bracelet when you walked in.
House arrest, 54 years.
It was vaping.
Yeah.
I saw it. Right?
tell
You
me.
have violated. There's no doubt about it. You violated, Jimmy.
Oh.
Dude, I mean, it's not often that people get to experience. Well, let me rephrase this. There are heroes in every sport. There are heroes in every sport. And in the sport of bass fishing, you are definitely a hero, man. The influence that you have had over the masses, over the years, is just unfathomable. Has that ever sunk into you, the message that Jimmy Houston has carried?
Well, not the way that you're putting it there, obviously, but we have been doing what we've been doing for a long, long time. We were on ESPN for 20 years. We're on the Discovery Channel, CBS Sports, WFN Pursuit channel right now.
Just to name a few.
We're on 14 different networks. So we've been around. We've gone through many different generations of fishermen. And really because of that, the longevity, we have a lot of fans. And the other thing that's really made a difference with us is we've never taken the game of bass fishing too seriously. I mean, it's a fun game to us. We do play tournaments. We still play tournaments at the top level with FLW. Not nearly as well as we used to play tournaments, but we still I didn't do it this year, but anymore I usually make the money about half the time. But you get a check in FLW now, it's $10,000 minimum, so you make the money half the time. It's still pretty good money, but we've always taken a fun approach to the game, and I think that's really made a difference in the popularity we've had. We've never staged anything on television. You know, one of the big things on television nowadays is reality show. Ours was a reality show 43 years ago.
Sure.
That's true.
Before anyone, there wasn't even a word reality television. And that's what fishing shows really are. We've never staged or hooked on a fish. We've caught every fish live all those 43 years, and I think that's part of the popularity of it. And the other thing is we work really hard. I still do 100 personal appearances a year. We're very accessible to the public. We're very accessible to all of the media, and have always been. And we enjoy being with the people, and I think that transcends to the people kind of enjoys being with us, and that's why we've been able
100%.
to do what we've been doing all these years. And you know, we're playing a great game. We're playing a game that is a passion for a lot of people. It's a pastime for a lot of people. It's just a weekend out for a lot of folks. But it's a game that about 3 or 4 out of every 10 Americans love to do is fishing. So,
Sure.
you know, you can't really go too much wrong right there. I mean,
can't.
I don't know anything that really is hardly any much more fun than maybe sex.
And that's true. 100%
well,
more fun.
And, hey,
yeah.
you can fish all
You
day.
can do all that in the same day.
Hey, you can fish all day.
yeah.
true.
You can fish all day. I'm just going to leave it right there.
Have you ever tried fishing and sex at the same time?
I think I'll pass on that question. I think I'll pass on that question.
Understandably so. Understandably so. Jimmy, I want to
Ranger bass boats have mighty comfortable seats and carpet in them. I'm just going to say
They
that.
sure do.
You heard it there. You heard it right there. Jimmy,
Built for speed.
I got one problem with you, Jimmy. I'm going to tell you, okay?
Well, that's that. You got. If you've only got one, you're a lot better than most.
Yeah, I constantly ask you. I've asked you on the phone. I've asked you when you've been on the show a million times. When are you going to bring back the bell bottoms, the amazing belt buckle,
With
the
the rhinestones.
butterfly collar, the rhinestones? You tell me. I'm going to do it, Pat. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, we probably need. You know, the next time I
It's
qualify,
time.
for the FLW championship, I might just do that. We might do a retro look there and
Yes.
go back to that. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Could you imagine you roll in a 1976 Ranger boat?
Hey,
Dude.
You know, I used to pull my bass boat, my Ranger bass boat, back in the days that I dressed like you're talking about.
I know
there.
you did.
We had white, not khaki colored pants, but white, snow white.
Yeah.
White pants with stars and stripes down the side of them. Stripes. Yeah, and stars, red, white, and blue stars down the side of those, embroidery down the side of those pants. They were bell bottoms, like you're talking about. I actually pulled my Ranger boat in those days with a lipstick red, with a white leather top that was fashionable back in those days.
Yeah.
A white leather top, Lincoln Continental Mark IV.
Yes, evil like Knievel.
That's what I pulled my bass boat
I
with.
think that's what bass fishing needs.
It is,
a
Jimmy.
little style.
You know, a couple years ago we qualified for the FLW championship, the oldest fisherman to ever qualify for the championship. And I thought I would do it again, but I haven't the last couple of years. But if we qualify for the FLW championship again, we might just do that. We might just show up.
Can
with
you promise me, please?
Just
Promise me.
I don't know.
Make
that
a commitment.
I don't know that I can make that commitment, but that is a great idea.
I'm calling Chris.
We don't want to let it out that that's going to happen because we sure want to kind of show up as a surprise that might.
But you got to give Stray Cass and Pat Renwick credit.
I will give you all the credit, Pat.
You
No
got to
doubt
dance
about
with who
it.
brung you.
No doubt about it. But the retro look FLW championship, I think it
Dude,
might be cool. We
phenomenal.
might even get a vest, sew patches on it.
Yes.
We got all these fancy $200 tournament shirts now.
Yeah.
With everybody's wearing, and we might go back and get the vest with
That would
patches
be a
on it.
total left hook because
And,
if you show up in that, then all these people around here that are wearing tournament jerseys, they're going to go to the whole retro look.
They're gonna get
He's
some
a
bell bottoms.
trendsetter.
That might be pretty cool. Might be pretty cool. You
It's a
know,
trendsetter.
my buddy Eric Jackson that owns Jackson Kayaks.
Yeah, Eric's awesome
Yeah,
with the jumpsuit.
Eric wears coveralls. You know, the
That's
coveralls were come along before we even started putting patches on vests and shirts, sew on patches. The people started with the coveralls, and they'd sew a BASS patch on there, and then if they got a sponsor, they'd sew that on there. And the guys that were kind of wanted to look like pro fishermen in those days would get a lot of patches, and they would sew it
Yeah,
on, and they would
it's
look
awesome.
like they had a lot of sponsors. And
It's awesome.
They had none. They
Cream
just owned-
worms.
Yeah, oh yeah,
So
They
were
go
doing
way
it then,
back.
too.
They own
Gator
patches.
grip.
They own patches, yeah. but nowadays, fortunately, folks pay for all these names on these shirts. That's really good. But they would probably pay for that retro look pretty good.
They would.
It's a good idea,
Jimmy.
Pat.
I'm going to call Chris
I've
after
kept
this.
I've kept that in the back of my mind.
Okay.
And
you're not blowing smoke at me, are you?
No. The FLW Championship might be a good deal to break that out.
Dude, it would be phenomenal.
But now, let me tell you, it's really, really difficult to qualify for this event that they're having here.
Yes.
We had 186 or 187 players this year at the top level. Only the top 35 or 40 qualify. And as you look at the Bass Elite, they have 107 players and 40 qualify. So you only got to beat about 67 players. Over here, you have to beat 147 players to qualify. So it's really difficult. The guys that make this tournament have got something they can hang their hat on without a doubt.
100%.
I've fished 15 or 20 Bassmaster Classics, and it's great. Those are great, and it's wonderful to qualify for those. But it's much more difficult just because of the numbers. There are tremendous fishermen fishing here in FLW, just like there are on the Bass Elite. Those 300 fishermen, when you look at those two organizations, are incredibly great fishermen. That's just all you can say about it.
Yeah, man, 100%. Hey, can we talk hair care products for a minute?
I don't have a hair care product sponsor, but I'm always open to suggestions.
Let me ask you this. Now, when I'm driving in my bass boat, whenever I you ever see those little trolls that you put on the dashboard? They got the hair that sticks straight up.
Yeah.
Well, after I'm done going 70 miles an hour in my bass boat, my hair sticks up like one of them trolls. And every time
Mine does too.
Every time I ever seen a picture of you when you're coming back from the weigh-in or whatever, your hair's perfect.
Well, I just comb it. I just take my hands and rub it all forward. I just comb it. I don't use a comb. I just use my hands.
The finger comb.
The one thing about it, if your hair is just all going forward all the time, if you want to, you can turn around and run 70 mile an hour backwards. That'd be perfect hair.
Hair care tips from Jimmy Houston.
There you go. Run 70 mile an hour backwards.
Don't try that at home, folks.
Some of my NASCAR buddies told me the only difference because I told them I could be a NASCAR driver. I got really good friends like Tony Stewart, Martin Truex, and I told them, I said, I can do your sport. Your sport is very easy. All you do is drive 180 to 200 mile an hour, and you make left turns, and that's all you do.
True.
That's the only thing you really need to know how to do. And I said, I could do that. And they said, yeah, but can you do it 200 mile an hour backwards? And they said, sometimes they have to drive a race car 200 mile an hour backwards. And I said, well, that makes it a little bit tougher. But I've noticed that when you are driving them 200 mile an hour backwards, you're tearing up a lot of sheet metal.
Yes.
So I'm not really convinced that they can drive them very well.
Shake and bake, Jimmy Houston. Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Yeah. If you're not first, you're last.
Yes,
That's it. You're not first, you're last. That's it.
It's right there. Jimmy, you are a spinnerbait fisherman. We all know that. We just had a gentleman on, you might know him. His name's Hank Parker. He was on here before you.
I know that guy.
Yeah,
I know this is radio.
He's
and
a
you really
fisherman,
couldn't-
too.
It's his
you
web
couldn't-
show.
Yeah,
Come on, quit calling it radio.
You couldn't, whatever it is. I would try to find a kind word.
It's outdoor cartoon television.
Whatever it is, whatever it is. But I know. I just want to put this out so people will know. I know it's difficult to believe, and you can't tell by looking at him. But Hank Parker is actually younger than I am.
Is that true?
It's true.
True story. That's
let
not
you
a true
know.
story you just made up. That's a true story.
That's a true story. Hank's actually younger than I am.
Wow.
I know you can't tell by looking, but he is.
No, So, Jimmy, my question
He
to
used
you.
to make jokes. Hey, buddy. He used to make jokes about my hair.
Yeah.
And but lately, either he's quit making hair jokes. It may be because his forehead is growing.
Did you see that?
It's getting larger. His forehead is getting larger. Yeah.
Hank's getting shorter, too.
Well, I don't know. He's getting shorter. He's still pretty good sized boy. Hank's nice and slim and trim, though.
He's looking good,
man.
man.
I told him I saw that GoFundMe page he put up the other day to buy groceries. I told him, I said, have you been on a diet? He said, no. Did you see my GoFundMe page? So I donated. to it. Yeah.
Jimmy,
he's looking good. And he's pretty slim and trim.
That's Hank. That's old Slim Hank. So there's the question to you is, you're a spinnerbait guy. Who to you, in your eyes, is a better spinnerbait fisherman than you?
Well, it's difficult to talk about whether one fisherman's better than another fisherman because it's just the same as any other sport, golf or baseball or football or basketball or whatever. As fishermen get a little bit older, and some of the guys that are still playing the game at an older age, like myself, like Gary Yamamoto, like Ricky Clunn, like Paul Elias, none of us are playing the game nearly as well as we did 20 or 30 years ago. And so you can't say that anyone is a better spinnerbait fisherman than maybe I am, or a better crankbait fisherman than Ricky Clunn, or a better crankbait fisherman than Paul Elias, or a better soft plastic worm fisherman than Gary Yamamoto, because we're talking about different times, different fishermen, different age groups. So it's kind of like comparing, is there better home run hitters out there than Hank Aaron, or is there better third baseman than Brooks Robinson? Because they're different eras and different times. They're really, really good. There are some very excellent spinnerbait fishermen out there nowadays. Kevin Van Dam probably is one of the very best spinnerbait fishermen of all time. Some people would obviously say that I'm better than he is. Some people would say he's better than me. But but there's a little bit over a 20-year age difference there. So when you start looking at all that, it makes it a little bit different. And here's the deal though on the really good fishermen, and we just jump at it, like Roland Martin has got a great reputation of being an incredibly great worm fisherman.
Sure.
And yet he goes out there and
6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pounder.
Oh yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pounder.
They grow. They grow fast when he catches them. But Roland fishes some of the Bass Opens and FLW Coastal tournaments at the second level down, and he has a hard time getting into money, where he would dominate those tournaments 20 or 30 years ago with a plastic worm.
Sure.
And that, are there guys out there, those guys he fished against, are they a better worm fisherman than he is now? Well, they probably are. But are they better than he was in his heyday? Well, that's debatable right there. But the thing about good fishermen, and you can pick, we get deemed as being real experts on certain types of baits, and they say, oh man, he's like the best crankbait fisherman, he's the best worm fisherman. Denny Brower, they call the best jig fisherman for a long, long time.
Sure.
But the really, really good guys can do it all way, way above average.
Mm-hmm.
Like Denny Brower was an excellent spinnerbait fisherman, as is Ricky Clunn.
Sure he is.
Kevin Van Dam's a great crankbait fisherman. And he's a great jig fisherman. He's a great plastic worm fisherman. All of the techniques. Now, there are things that everyone likes to do above everything else. Now, if I could just say, all right, I have the power of God. I can make the fish bite whatever bait I want them to bite today. I'd want them to be biting a spinnerbait. Other fishermen would maybe want them to be biting a worm or a topwater or a plastic bait, a crankbait or a buzzbait or whatever, a drop shot, whatever. But the fact is that the good fishermen are good at everything, and they're
versatile. Versatility.
Well, it seems like they all are. Seems like they're all good at
are.
everything now.
Versatility. It doesn't matter.
Do you still have a quarter-ounce single Colorado copper blade chartreuse and blue skirt tied on all the time?
Pretty much.
Pretty much so.
Nice.
Pretty much, yeah. I throw more single spins than I do tandem still. There are far more tandem blade spinnerbaits sold than there are singles. There's far more willow leaf blades sold than there are round blades, but I still fish more round blade single spinnerbaits than any other configuration.
I remember, and I tell you this story all the time, I was probably about 10 years old. We were at an outdoor show in Chicago. I was actually working for Jim Bagley at that time, okay, the late Jim.
Great man.
Yes, and you were doing a seminar, and you had me come out there, and you're like, Pat, watch this. And you took, and I remember, you took that single blade, copper blade, chartreuse and blue spinnerbait, and you put it right on my ear. Right on my ear.
Lucky cast.
I was.
Were you aiming for his ear?
Lucky cast. Lucky cast.
You know what? I made my parents buy me like 40 of those spinnerbaits. So the job well done, Jimmy Houston. The job well done right there.
We talk about baits a lot. Guys have been proficient at baits, and they're proficient at most all of them. But, the casting ability is a big part of success in fishing. And the guys nowadays, most of them, more of them pitch than anything else. They're dramatically accurate at it. We were over there doing some flipping at the Bass Pro Shop they had some cornhole deals set up over there. Instead of throwing the corn bags in them, we were flipping jigs in them, and it's mostly for kids. You know, they're lined up over there doing it, and it's a great deal for the kids. But I went over and picked up a rod, was flipping in the hole there a few times, and I heard somebody back there say, "Wow, he doesn't miss. He puts it in that hole every time." This is what the really, really good fishermen. All of them can do that.
Yeah,
I mean, they all cast that way.
The mechanics.
Mechanically, and that's another thing that it is more difficult to do as you get older, is to be mechanically as efficient as you were at a younger age. There's a lot of things that you can't do quite as well. The game is a mental sport, but it's a physical sport also.
Sure.
And when
standing for 12 hours a day is a big deal, too.
Your reflexes are not. I mean, it doesn't. Reflexes are not as good. It's like those baseball players. Yeah. Oh. When those baseball players start to get 35, 36 years old, their reflexes are not like they were when they were 32 or 31 or certainly 22, 21. They still hit the baseball. They still play the game. Some of them at that age, very few. But you're talking about, the only fisherman out there on the top level that's older than me, I guess, is Gary Yamamoto, and he just got me by a few months or maybe a year.
Wow.
And Gary Yamamoto is a great, great fisherman, but it is difficult to play the game at the top level. As you get older, there's no doubt about it.
Here's the bottom line,
and
Jimmy.
You can't play it as well. But the good thing about it is, if you catch a good string of fish 2 days, they're going to give you a $10,000 check.
That is
at
right.
Least,
you're
at
still
least,
playing the game. You're
Yeah,
still playing.
That's a good thing. And fishing is a game that some of these guys that are fishing out, some of these kids that are fishing this tournament out here, 25, 28 years old, if they want to be playing the game professionally 40 years from now, they can. They can.
Yep.
100%. They think about that, and we were I was the first tournament fisherman to fish national tournaments for 50 years. I did that a couple, 2 or 3 years ago. I think it's 53 years now. Kevin Van Dam told me, he said, "Jimmy, you don't ever have to worry about me breaking that record. I'll never fish tournament fishing for 50 years," and he probably won't. It takes I don't know what it takes. It takes about I almost said
maniac.
That's it. You got the right word. I almost said committed, but it probably takes somebody that should be committed. That's probably what it takes.
I enjoy being a truck driver.
But there's two other guys out there that are just as committed like that, and I mentioned their names, Gary Yamamoto and Roland Martin. That Roland is 78 and still fishing national tournaments now. Wow. He doesn't fish them at the top level. The tournament tour for FLW or the BASS Elite, but he does fish on the next level down, which is still great fishermen. And many of the tournament tour guys and the Bass Elite guys fish those second-tier tournaments because they are good tournaments. They're big tournaments,
100%.
Very difficult to win tournaments, and some of the guys do fish them. And Roland does fish those. Gary Yamamoto does fish at the tournament tour level. He does.
Sure does. Hey, Jimmy, often on this show we close with you singing your Jimmy Houston theme song. But
yeah, right.
We do.
We've done that before. That's where you've lost a lot of your viewers.
No, but this time we're going to can we do it together this time? Can we do a duet? Like,
you got to realize I've been talking nonstop for
it's going to make it even more magical for me.
Yeah, magical.
Are you ready? You want let's Ready?
Yeah, rising with the morning sun, got no work today. Might be up on the bayou, over in the Ocean Bay. Might be fishing in a mountain stream or a lake down in Tennessee. Might as well grab your fishing pole and come along with Jimmy and me. Yeah, we nailed it right there. Internet high five.
We nailed it. That's how you do the Jimmy
and
Houston.
Everybody is going, oh
yes,
my
wow,
gosh.
Absolutely unbelievable. Holy cow. They got the I Heart Jimmy.
Thank y'all, Pat. Y'all are always a lot of fun. You're a hoot.
Thank you very much. Jimmy Houston right there. Hey, I'm Pat Renwick. Ryan Popcorn Whitaker. Put the power poles down. There's more action from the 2018 Forrest Wood Cup
fogged up my glasses.
coming up.
That fogged up my glasses. That fogged up my glasses.
Welcome back to Straightcast Outdoor Cartoon Television. The Maniacy continues once again live from the 2018 Forrest Wood Cup. I'm your host, Pat Renwick, and right now we are pretty stoked to bring to you, no stranger to this show, Last time he was here, he was killing rattlesnakes in his garage last time he was on the show. One of the biggest badasses in professional bass fishing. Let's give a warm studio audience a round of applause for the one and only, the real Jason Christie. Yes. Yes. What's up, dude? Now we got you now?
1, 2. Yeah, you
There
got
you
me.
are.
There we
Jason
go.
Christie. He's live here at Straight Cast.
Yeah, you had me on the
professional.
show, but you don't turn my mic on.
Yeah. We did now. We did now, man. It's good to see you, dude.
Yeah, how are you guys?
We're doing real good, man. I mean, we're living the dream in a bass fishing talk show land. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I hear the living the dream a lot.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you got to catch them. We just got to talk about it. So it's pretty easy for us.
Yeah,
You
you
do
know?
the fun stuff.
Yeah, you guys' job's a lot easier than my job.
It is. I'm not going to lie. It really is a lot easier. We just interview you guys and have fun with you. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, we're the joke.
So if you ever want to get out of the business, maybe you could become like a bass fishing talk show host. Like, Thrift has done it. Mike Iaconelli's done it. But they're still in the business. But,
Right. I think I'll stick to chasing those greenfish for a while.
yeah, you do pretty good at that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it, man. You have made quite a successful living chasing those green fish.
I've been lucky. I mean, honestly, just talking to the guys here at the show, it just takes 1 or 2 tournaments to separate you from somebody else. And I've been lucky over the years, been fortunate. You catch a 5-pounder when you're not supposed to, you win the event.
When you're not supposed
Yeah,
to.
when you're not supposed to. The easiest thing is I've been lucky. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Do you ever have a sixth sense about when you're about to catch a fish? Like, do you get a feeling?
Yeah, we and it's weird that you say that. I used to fish a lot of team events with my uncle, and back then, still now, I'm not the smartest guy, but we used to. I'd tell him I'd say I'm going psycho, and it actually meant I was kind of psychic, and I felt like we were getting ready to catch one. And a lot of times, there'd be a fish come soon after that, and still to this day, there's something about it out there when you're out there fishing. You just get that feeling
Get that funny feeling.
yeah,
Get that
something's
weird
about to
thought.
happen.
Yeah.
And and a lot of times it does, and there's just, I don't know if it's a sixth sense, but I think a lot of the guys have that and will tell you the same story.
I can't remember who it was we were interviewing. It wasn't too long ago. It might have been at the red carpet event here.
Yeah.
And they were telling a story about fishing with you, and I wish I knew who it was. I can't remember. I have short-term memory loss for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, so they're like, yeah, I'm fishing with Christie, and he's like, see those turtles over there? See those turtles over there? It's going to start pouring. We got to get the hell out of here. And they're like, there's not a cloud in the sky. What's going on? Then all of a sudden, do you know who I'm talking? Who was that?
No, I don't remember that, but we've done that a lot.
So turtles can tell you when it's going to rain.
Oh, yeah.
How?
What do they do?
They tell you what bait to throw, what size weight to use, everything.
You don't mean that Charlie Evans guy in that Ninja Turtle outfit
No,
that
it
runs around.
It wasn't Charlie. There's just a lot of things. We make a lot of jokes out there. I see a deer walking on the bank, and I'll ask the guy in the back of the boat, you know what that means? No, and I said, I'm going to catch a fish pretty soon. If you don't catch one, it's no big deal, but if you catch one, it makes their mind go crazy.
And that's like, oh, there's the whole psychological deal once again. Dude, whether you know it or not, whether it's intentional or unintentional, you are probably one of the most intimidating anglers on the Elite Series. Do you realize that amongst your peers?
I hear that some, and I like that.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I like that, and intimidating in a way. I don't know if that's physical, mental, but I like all of it. I feel like if I intimidate them physically, then they're not going to fish around me.
Yeah.
And if I intimidate them mentally, then right off the bat in the morning, I have a little bit of an advantage.
You are like the Millennium Denny Brower as far as intimidation goes.
I don't know.
If you're intimidating people, you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
You don't consider yourself in that same intimidation factor as Denny?
No, Denny's on a whole new level. you got Denny at the very top, and then Tommy Biffle's right below him.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the most intimidating person, or really the only person that intimidates me, is Greg Hackney.
He is, dude.
He is.
Yeah.
And he's got a way that he looks at you, and I know the way that he fishes. If I'm ever, around him in the standings, he's one that he always has. I fished with him or against him in the BFL days, and he was intimidating then.
He has unconfirmed 27 Sasquatch kills just by his glance.
Yeah.
No weapons, just the glance. He turns them to stone.
Well, I think he's part Sasquatch.
He is actually, yeah, and Chupacabra.
Chupacabra,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a combination of both mythological characters.
Yeah, he's a really good dude. He intimidates me for the reason because I know that he's not thinking about what anybody else is doing. He's only thinking about what he's doing. He's going to have a jig in his hand 90% of the time.
Right.
And I don't know why. He's just always, and it's the eyes. He's always just been a little intimidating to me.
That is true, and we say it all the time on this show that the two most intimidating anglers in the elites are definitely you and Hackney.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
So, someone we had on the show said about Hackney, they said he's just so dang quiet.
Yeah.
He comes in and he's so quiet.
Silent but deadly.
You know he's got him.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, he is, he just got a little, I don't know, he just kind of sneaks around. And what's weird is we fish similar, not exact, the exact
Very
same
similar,
way.
yeah.
I never see him in practice.
Really?
Never seen. And he'll show up. I may have a good area, and he'll end up in that area, even if I don't see him. And I think the same with me. I'll end up in one of his areas, but I never, ever see that guy in practice.
But you guys might end up in the same
Yep.
spots.
Yep.
You know why that is? He talked to the turtles.
Probably.
I think he talked to the turtles.
They
and
told him where you
and
are.
They told him that. Yeah, Jason's over there.
Now,
Greg.
are you like him where you stray away from the crowd a lot? I know he said that a lot. And do you try to find smaller spots?
Yeah, I think that, and that's what hurts me. I look back over my career, like this year, and the two worst finishes of my career have been on the Elite Series this year. One was at Sabine, and one was at Grand Lake, and that it actually hurts. There's times whenever I don't want to be around other people, and I will actually run away from the fish to fish for a very minute population of bass, just so I don't have to fish around people.
They're yours.
Yeah.
And I think it's much more. It's much more enjoyable that way too.
Right.
I mean, if you don't have that factor, because we all know that especially professional bass fishing is, as you stated, a psychological game. You know?
Right.
But if you when you have that added element in there, whatever you can keep out of your brain to keep the positiveness in,
Right.
it's. I mean, that's obviously the deal.
Well, I feel like whenever I'm around a lot of people, I cannot manage the area. If you're around a lot of people, you can't manage that area. You can't manage that spot over there. If I'm by myself, then I can kind of manage it, and get the most out of that area. But when you're around a lot of people, you just got to take what you can get.
Yeah, exactly. And what's crazy, and you kind of touched on it with Hackney though, but what I find amazing is that you guys, especially in the Elite Series, are so tuned in that how many times has it been that you found a little isolated or obscure area, but then there's like 6 other guys that find the same thing?
Yeah.
I mean, is that because of mapping, or is it what is that root? What is the root of that the deal that happens there?
Well, you got to think about the Elite Series. Everybody there can catch them. We all have electronics. Some of us have electronics that are better than others, but the mapping's good. But we're all programmed the same. We're all trying to find something a little bit different. You almost, if you know that something is the best deal going, you almost don't want to be on that because everybody else is going to be on that. You want to be on like the second or the third best deal that's going to be the best after 4 days. But everybody's looking for that little secret spot, and it's hardly anymore that
it's called the Timmy Horton spot.
Yeah, it's hard. You're not going to find something that you have to yourself. If you do, then you found a special spot or a special area.
Right. Give us an instance of where you and another angler have found that special area and how you dealt with it.
Trying to think here. I honestly can't think of anything this year. I know that whenever I won on Dardanelle, I remember.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, Hackney, I actually had a mile stretch of the bayou, and Hackney was fishing the next mile.
Gotcha.
And we weren't fishing over the top of each other, but we would see each other throughout the day. But he never crossed his line, I never crossed my line. And here's the reason is because he thought his mile was the best, and I thought my mile was the best.
Right.
And unfortunately for him, you know, he just had a subpar last day. It's not like him to catch 15 pounds, and I got lucky. But that's one. There's a lot of times that a lot of us find the same area, and usually what happens is whenever that's the case, somebody has to bail because you're not going to see somebody win out of an area where there's 2 or 3 guys.
Exactly.
You know, somebody's got to bail, and usually I'm the guy that bails because I know that the person that's going to win is not going to be fishing around 2 or 3 guys.
Right.
I got to ask you this, and I'm sure you've been asked it a zillion times since it happened, but I don't know the answer. So was the Chesapeake cancellation beneficial to you, or are you indifferent? Were you pissed?
It's kind of weird because during the event, I had no idea that they were thinking about doing anything like that. And the last day of practice, I go out and fishing was tough, but I felt like I was, I thought I could catch 12 to 15 or 16. Not easy, but I thought I could do that.
Could do it.
And, we're going to the meeting and I'm hearing, they're thinking about this, they're thinking about that. And you start getting the body language from the other competitors. And at first I was indifferent. And then I start seeing the body language of everybody else. And then I'm ready to fish.
Right.
But the thing about it is where I was fishing, it was most vulnerable to the water that was coming in. So I think I could have got there the first day of the tournament and my area had been totally mud and I would have had to start over from scratch. But as far as am I good with it? I really, honestly, it didn't matter to me. I wasn't leaning one way or another. Now, I wasn't wanting to drive back up there and do it all over again.
Right, like happened on Sabine.
Yeah, I wasn't wanting to do that. But, I understand some of the guys that aren't happy about it, and I also understand guys, like me that are indifferent. I was one of those guys that are pretty good in the points. And, I feel lucky that I was because if I was 60th or 70th, I would have wanted an extra event. I kind of understand everybody, but I also understand from what I seen after they canceled, it was the best decision due to the flooding and stuff.
And some Elite Series anglers, and I'm not going to name any names, but they were such crybabies about the whole damn thing.
Yeah, see, I don't get into the drama. I understand there was a lot of that drama, and that's why you don't see a lot of interaction with me on things like that because I get myself in trouble enough. I don't need to get in somebody else's business. But, one thing about the Chesapeake that I have heard is, the big thing was the floaters, and guys were like, well,
it's dangerous.
Just dodge it. It's not like you're running across the bay and it's flat, calm, and you can see it. I mean, if you get a 10-mile-an-hour wind up there, there's 2 to 3 footers.
Sure.
You're not going to see them. They're going to be, those logs.
Creep up on you.
Yeah, those logs are going to be in the troughs. But, it's just one of those things. The anglers didn't win from the cancellation. The town didn't win from the cancellation. Bass obviously didn't win from the cancellation. Right. Nobody won.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, we got to do this.
Imagine what Tripp was going through. He was freaking out, dude.
Here's the way I look at Tripp's job. Whenever I was coaching, I had 1 hour in the mornings, 8 o'clock in the morning, every day. I had what was called kindergarten PE.
Okay.
And you had anywhere from 90 to 100 kids in there running around crazy. And I felt so out of control, just hard to deal with it. And honestly, I kind of feel like that's Tripp's job.
Yeah. It's not an easy job.
That sums it up right there.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of kindergartners running around that it's hard for him to control. And I'll tell you this, he does a really good job. I have a lot of respect for him, and I just think he does a good job. And there's a lot of times like the Chesapeake that nobody's going to win. But here's the thing, though, is there might be some guys mad, but everybody's boats right now have their engines on it. And nobody's hurt, so I think
everybody's alive.
I mean, come on. Who knows? That uncontrollable variable we always talk about, who the heck knows what would have happened?
Right.
I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Hey, I got to ask you this question, and you can sock me if you want to after it, but
don't ask about the Classic.
No, I'm not. I know better than that. This is way better.
Okay.
I know better than that. No, believe me, you're the intimidator. I got this here.
Okay.
But how do you feel about the fact that there's another Jason Christie out there?
Oh. I don't know. That's kind of what I said earlier. I get myself in enough trouble, and I have so many people that call me and text me and email me and things like that. And the best thing that I can tell them is my last name ends with IE, and that's all I can worry about. And the other guy, I don't know anything about him, and really don't want to. Like I said, I'm hard enough to take care. It's hard enough to take care of myself, much less somebody else.
Another
Right.
Jason Christie.
Right.
You can't blame a guy for having the same name.
Dude, I mean, he's capitalizing.
It's an
Right.
advantage.
Yeah. But it's funny how much people have contacted me over that, sponsors and fans, and it's a little confusing for them, but, there's only
One Jason Christie.
Yes.
I didn't
There
say-
is only one Jason
I didn't
Christie.
say that.
We said it here first. Just move your mouth and I'm going to talk. There is only one Jason Christie.
Yeah.
We got
I'm not saying anything.
Hey, dude, the new Garmin unit that you got on that Ranger, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That is a game changer.
It is.
Game changer.
It is. It's hard to be in the position that I'm in whenever something like that comes out that that's going to change the industry and the way that people fish. And that's, you go into, say, the last day of the Elite Series somewhere, and honestly, like at takeoff, you got the top 12. I'll look around and see how many Garmin guys there is, especially on a smallmouth fishery, because it's almost like they're hunting with the automatic shotgun and everybody else is hunting with a single shot.
Right.
No, it's really good. And, I'm amazed. Like when Panoptics came out a few years ago, I'm like, there's nothing else that can be any better. And then LiveScope comes out, and it's crazy. And I've only had it on my boat for 6 weeks now, maybe 7 weeks. And my boat it's in Connecticut now. I haven't even had my boat home for the last 3 weeks. And I'm actually looking forward to getting up there, and especially this winter, spending a lot of time really learning. And it's easy, but I feel like as good as it is, I need to spend a lot of time learning it and playing with it, understanding it, getting confidence in it. Like, in Panoptics, I have so much confidence in that thing. And this is even better, just the way that you don't have to translate anything in your mind. Panoptics, you see it, you have to translate what everything means really quick. LiveScope, the way the picture is, what you see is what's out there.
It's right there. It's a live action movie.
Right.
I mean, boom. And there's certain products that come along in the industry. And now, for example, believe in it or don't believe in it, that Hydrowave unit.
Yeah.
I mean, I've witnessed it firsthand and what it does.
Yeah.
Okay. Works or not, that's up to you to witness for yourself. But here's the deal. Most every pro has one on their boat.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether they're sponsored by TH Marine or not.
Right.
Now, do you see that new Garmin unit being something like that because it is such a game changer? Like they're going to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Do you see that happening?
I do. I think, in the near future, a lot of the guys are going to think about, the advantages of it. And there's so many. I mean, I could sit here and talk an hour. It's not only seeing your bait, seeing the fish, being able to see a brush pile, see the outside edge of the grass. I mean, I could sit here and talk. And, in my job, there's such a fine line between being good, real good, not so good. There's such a fine line that
Sure.
if I can catch 1 or 2 fish each event because of a product, then I'm going to have all those products, because 1 or 2 fish can be the difference between 5th and winning.
Yeah.
Or 50, not getting a check, or getting a check, not being in the classic, being in the classic. So I'm going to take advantage of all those type of products that, like you said, the Hydrowave and obviously LiveScope. Whenever I won on St. Clair last year, I caught 90% of my fish.
You were picking them, dude.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
See, that sort of thing too, to me, does it ever get discouraging when you're looking at that, you're cruising through and you just don't see anything in front of you?
Well,
yeah. Can they camouflage themselves where they're there, you don't see them?
No, and that's one of the things now. Used to, I spent a lot of time fishing in dead water.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't see them now, if I don't see something either on down view or live scope or whatever, I don't fish. I mean,
Keep moving.
Right.
I mean,
You're off.
I'll have the rod laid over the top of my shoulder, and the good thing is I don't spend a lot of time in that dead water anymore. If I don't see anything around, I'm moving on, and
Sure beats Buck Perry's spoon plugs, don't it?
It does. Yeah, it does.
It's a big deal. Hey, on this show, dude, we play bass fishing talk show game shows.
Mm-hmm.
I think you played one last time.
Right.
You didn't like it too much.
Probably not.
But we're going to do it again. What do you
Okay.
think?
Sounds good.
Let's play a game here called Bass and Life.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a term or a phrase, and you relate it to bass fishing as well as life.
Okay.
Are you down?
Yep.
Let's do it. Are you ready here? Yes, it's time for Bass and Life with Elite Series professional Jason Christie right here on Straight Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. Jason Christie, come on down. Well, you're already down.
Mm-hmm.
There you are, right there. Jason, the first term to you regarding bass and life is zero to red. Zero to red. Related to bass fishing and related to life.
0 to red.
0 to red.
Man, this is. Why don't we do something easy?
That's what this is, a game show. You're an Elite Series angler. You have to think quick on your feet and make decisions. Pretend you're looking at the Panoptic unit, and it just gave you 2 answers. One, and you have a special bass fishing game show council in your Ranger. So 0 to red.
0 to red.
So from here, mellow to boom, angry. Related to bass fishing and related to life.
0 to red, I could say, in life is having 3 daughters. You can go
Yes.
0 to red in a hurry. The good thing I'm going to say on that is you can also go from red to running in the flowers over, real quick too. So
That's true.
in bass fishing, 0 to red happens all the time during the day. I mean, you lose a fish, you make a bad decision. It's 0 to red in a hurry. Like I said, the fine line in bass fishing is really, really small.
Or when you're running back to the ramp and you see him come up schooling and you win a derby.
Yeah, I've done that. What's funny about that is, it was the first really good conditions that I had in that event for them to come up, and they waited till the last day to do it, but I'm sure glad they did.
And it happened.
That was
Yep.
awesome.
It happened. Next one, bucket list. Bass fishing and life. Bucket list.
On the bucket list for fishing, I feel like I've done it all. I've had some opportunities the last few years to go France, Spain, South Africa, and stuff like that in fish tournaments. I think that's probably on the bucket list. I need to do that, and I'm gonna back up. I want to take my dad to St. Clair.
Nice.
My dad loves to drift for catfish, and there's not a better place to put somebody in the back of a boat and let them
Just let him drag.
drift.
Drift
I'm
and
gonna take
drag
him.
that too.
So that's on the bucket list. And
Okay.
As far as life, just be happy. That's on the bucket list.
Just
Check
be
it off
happy.
every day.
Yep, just be happy.
That's all up to you.
Dude, I live my life day to day.
I do too. I live moment to moment, actually.
Yep.
It works easier that way.
Yeah, if you think about tomorrow, you're wasting the day.
Yeah, I am with you 100% there.
Right.
Here's the next one. Saturated. Refer to bass fishing and refer to life. Saturated.
Saturated. In bass fishing, I feel like we're saturated with. I don't know.
Say it.
I'm not going to say it.
Say it. Come on, you were
I know where you're going.
Come on,
Yeah, you know,
Jason.
I feel like I'm just going to say that in bass fishing, we are saturated. In life,
Come on, that's too easy.
yeah, in life, that's a tough one, man. This is supposed to be a fishing talk show, not.
No, this is not normal.
Yeah.
Believe me, it's not your normal fishing.
I'm going to pass on that life one. You kind of caught me off guard
Come
on
on.
that.
Okay, here's James Watson's favorite, related to bass fishing and life. Isolated bush.
Huh. Only Watson. Only Watson. And bass fishing, that's what you look for. Anything isolated, that's where the biggest fish in the creek, the biggest fish in the lake is going to live. And again, I don't see me relating that to life. Yeah. I'll tell you this.
It goes without saying.
I think about this. I'll give you a story. Isolated bush. in life, I can mow my entire yard, and there's one bush out in the middle that I got to carry a stupid weed eater out there to weed eat around it.
Yeah.
And I hate that isolated bush. So
Yeah, I got the isolated fire hydrant.
So you did it. You related it to bass fishing and life. Let's get a consensus. Did Jason Christie win? Look at that.
Yep.
You knocked it out of the park.
Cool.
Right there. Hey, Jason, always a pleasure, man, to have you on the show. Anything you want to say to your fans in the bass fishing galaxy before we get the hell out of here?
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I got so many people just come up today, kids walk up, get teary-eyed and say, man, I want to fish like you. And honestly, that's why I do what I do. I mean, there's a lot of things in life that I feel like I could financially do, about the same, but just if I change the lives of a few kids and it makes worth what I'm doing, worth it.
There it is. And we learned one thing from you today. Don't ever take Trip Weldon's job. That's something you never want.
Yeah. No, I like Trip.
Trip's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He's got a tough job.
He does have a tough job.
And so do you,
Does it
Jason
well.
Christie, as a professional bass fisherman.
Yeah.
Bassing ain't easy, dude.
No, it ain't easy.
It ain't easy, but it's a heck of a way to make a living when you can do it.
It
Thank
is.
you so much,
You
man.
bet.
I appreciate it.
You
Ladies
bet.
and gentlemen,
Thanks.
that's Jason Christie, Ryan Popcorn Whitaker over there. I'm Pat Renwick. Put the power poles down. Don't go nowhere. When we come back, more action from the 2018 Forrest Wood Cup. Ciao. There we go. Welcome back. Right now, Straight Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television. The Maniaci continues from the 2018 Forrest Wood Cup. I'm your host, Pat Renwick, and right now, I want to tell you, it is an honor to have this gentleman come into the Straight Cast booth right now. Let's give a warm studio audience round of applause for the one and only Hank Parker. He is here. Woo! Yes! Hank Parker. I mean, obviously, you need no introduction, but it's like something that I just have to do.
Well, the older you get, the more people know you, so I guess that means I'm just old.
Dude, but seriously, let's backtrack for a minute here. You have been a staple in America's living rooms. You have been in a zillion living rooms all across America. Whether you realize it or not, you've been planted on everybody's couch for years.
Well, we started television for the love of the sport, and I really, early on, I decided that I wanted to make my show and the format of my show a fun show. Not really all about competitive fishing, but to make it about a family sport that is fun for everybody to participate. And I tried to teach a little bit along the way, but mostly it's all about really having fun. And that's what I like about fishing. It is a fun sport.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest lessons I ever got from the Hank Parker show was don't use mono with frogs. I remember when
oh, yeah.
Do you remember that
It's
episode?
a life changer.
It was like before the whole braid thing.
Yep.
And you were wrecking them. I can't remember where it was, but you're wrecking them on the frogs, and you were getting those blow ups, and they kept coming off, and it was like, and you're like, and I'm using 30-pound mono here, and it wasn't
working.
It
boy.
wasn't working.
Really and truly, braid fishing, when spider wire hit the market, it changed everything in that whole frog world, that topwater world. It's incredible.
It sure did, and I remember some of the first braid I ever used was that gorilla braid.
Yeah.
You remember that
yeah.
first?
Oh, yeah.
The first.
Berkeley developed the gorilla braid.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
That was the white stuff, right?
yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was. And I remember the first time I ever hooked a saltwater fish on the gorilla braid. It just about broke my arm.
Hey, you got to be really careful. I was down catching redfish the other day, and a guy was holding his rod where he had his line run over his finger. I said, "Don't do that. Don't do that. We're catching 30-pound redfish. You got on 60-pound braid. You could lose a finger."
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. You gotta
Easily.
keep your limbs free.
You have to use an iron chain malice suit sometimes if you're gonna go accomplish that. But when I think of Hank Parker, and how you helped me develop as a fisherman, and many, literally millions of people out there, you taught a lot of people how to flip, and you taught a lot of people how to throw a spinnerbait.
Spinnerbait.
I mean, come on.
Well, you know, you go back, and I won that first Bassmaster Classic way back in 1979, and people said, well, you invented flipping. I did not. D. Thomas, and
Correct.
so I never, ever want to get credit for what D did. D rocked the whole world. He's from Northern California, and he is the guy behind the whole flipping madness. I've had the privilege to fish with D a couple of times. He's awesome. He's taught me so much, and I love to flip, I love to pitch, and I love to throw that spinnerbait. But you know, the one thing that I really like is everything.
You don't care whatever they're eating. That's the deal.
I'll
Right
fish
there.
deep, shallow, in between. It don't matter. Whatever it takes, I like it all.
That is the deal. But here, so do you know how there's certain people, let's say it's a family member, let's say it's a friend, or let's say that, you know, a relative, whatever it may be. If you close your eyes, you have a certain picture of that person in your mind, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Okay, now this is not meant to be creepy whatsoever when I say this, but if I were to close my eyes and think of Hank Parker, I think of the 5.5-foot pistol grip rod with the old round ambassador on it and the man's classic spinnerbait.
Oh yeah, that roll cast.
That was the lady that brought me to the dance, and I'll never forget her. And Luz has brought the pistol grip back.
Nice.
I'm so proud of them, and they did an incredible job right out of the gate. They got that rod just perfect. So if you want some nostalgia, you want to go back. And I'm going to tell you, there's still a lot of incredible applications for that pistol grip roll cast. When you're close to boat docks, you can really pinpoint and get up under that boat dock. If you're fishing in a lake that's got a lot of overhanging willows, a lot of overhanging cypress, if you're back in the swamp areas, those little 5.5-foot pistol grip rods will allow, with that roll cast, you to put a bait that you cannot do with a 7.5-foot straight handle rod.
Do you still keep one in the boat?
Absolutely, at all times.
Now, how long is that rod?
It's there's a 5.5 and a 6-foot model. I really like they have a 510, and I love that. That is the perfect length pistol grip rod, 5 foot 10 inches long.
And is that the deal? You're pretty much using it with the spinnerbait still, or are you
Well,
using other
no,
baits on
I use other baits. I always have. If I get in, I used to fish at Santee Cooper way back up in the swamps, and you got overhanging trees everywhere, and you're constantly underhand and roll casting, and I would throw anything, a plastic worm, a topwater, a jig, a spinnerbait, whatever it takes. But the spinnerbait is what that rod is really giving you a great application for across the board. Flipping up under those boat docks with that little roll cast, or under those cypress trees. So I throw a spinnerbait on it a lot.
And are you still an advocate of the heavy line on that pistol grip rod? Are you still throwing as heavy a line as you get away with?
I've always said, you know, a lot of people waste opportunity and get line broken using 10-pound test, throwing a spinnerbait. Why? You're going to run that bait up there close to the surface. The heavier the line, the better. It doesn't interfere. You know, I'm a 20, 25-pound guy when it comes to a spinnerbait.
Sure. And again, why
not?
Why not do it?
That's my
And
whole
you're
point.
burning that bait. I mean, we've caught smallmouth in crystal clear water of Lake St. Clair on 20-pound
Oh, yeah.
fluoride.
I have many times. I have as well.
Just burning it.
That's it.
Why not do it?
Right.
So Hank, let me ask you this. Let's go back to that same bass fishing wonderland that we were just talking about, and tell us about a fishing memory that sticks in your mind.
Well, I'll tell you one that I'll never forget as long as I live. The guy's name was Randy Horn. He's passed on. He was an incredible fisherman. But in 1973, I caught the biggest string of bass I ever caught in a bass tournament at Low Falls Landing, Santee Cooper, South Carolina. I had 10 bass that weighed 73 pounds and 12 ounces.
Whoa.
And a guy named Billy Goff had won every bass tournament in 1970, 71, 72, and 73. He had won them all. And when he weighed in, he had 40 pounds. I came in and just blew the scales wide open with 73.12. And a guy named Randy Horn rolled in and weighed in 82 pounds.
You're like, what the heck just happened here?
Blew me away. I lost big time with 73.12.
That doesn't happen.
No, it's crazy. So there's a fishing story I'll never forget.
Exactly.
Since we're going back there, I got to ask you about this. My favorite classic reaction to a winner of a Bassmaster Classic was yours in 1989.
Yes.
It's just you really had no idea you were about to win that thing. Is that right?
I talked to Jim Bitter in the parking lot, and I kind of figured in my mind if he was telling the truth, and Jim has always been an honest man, so I knew he was probably telling me right like it was. And I was figuring it up, and I knew that it was going to come down to ounces. Mm-hmm. And I had lost the Super Bass tournament at Lake Lanier to Gary Klein by 1 ounce 4 years before, holding my fish up and letting water drops drop off, and weighed and lost by 1 ounce. Ooh. So when I came in, Ray Scott said, the biggest string of the tournament, Hank Parker, hold them up. Nope, I ain't holding them up. Put them on the scale. I don't want one water drop.
Yeah,
I never
ain't
thought
gonna happen. Not twice to Hank Parker.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. So I knew that it was gonna be within ounces. And when I saw that weight, according to what Jim had told me, I knew that I was going to beat him 1 ounce. I ended up beating him 2 ounces, but it was a nail biter.
A landslide.
And there it was, man. Hank, I know you're super busy and we don't want to keep you too long, but I do want to ask you this. If you have one wish for the continuation and the future of the sport of bass fishing, what would that one wish be?
Well, it's all coming down to what's happening with the high school and collegiate fishing. It is so critically important. We have all been conservationists since the day that catch and release came into play, and we have all worked to be able to help contribute to the preservation of our resources, and our shortcoming has been participation from our youth. That has been our shortcoming. And so now we've got programs put into high schools, even grade schools today are starting fishing programs. So we've got our wish. Now we've all got to work hard to make sure that these young people, girls and boys, and I love to see the crossover, a lot of girl fishermen in the high school fishing. We need to work hard to make sure we take care of all of our fisheries where they'll have a great place to fish as we have had in our lifetime. And that is our future, and it's all happening, and it is exciting.
Well said, Mr. Parker. Well said. Thank you so much for joining us, taking time out of your day. Ladies and gentlemen, that, as you know, is Hank Parker. I'm Pat Renwick, Ryan Popcorn Whitaker. Hey, put the power poles down. When we come back, more action from the 2018 Forrest Wood Cup. Boom. Here we go, round and round. Where we stop, nobody knows. It's day 2 of the Forrest Wood Cup. We are Stray Cast Outdoor Cartoon Television, the glorified version of a bass fishing talk show, live from the Hot Springs Convention Center. And I'm your host, Pat Renwick. And sitting next to me is this guy right here. He's kind of a big deal.
No, I'm not.
He's kind of a big deal over at Power Pole. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Curt Hill. Curt Hill joins us right here, right now.
Oh, there we go.
There they are. Yes.
They were delayed.
Yes.
But they're there.
You see how they did it. Hey, Curt,
They just wanted to wait on me, that's all.
Curt, what's that smell? What's it smell like in here? What is that?
Popcorn?
It's a minterong. It's a binterdong. Ladies and gentlemen, the binterdong.
It's the official name of a bear cat.
It's the binterdong. Ryan Popcorn Whitaker.
Let me just clarify, I did not get that nickname because I smell like popcorn.
He smells like a binterdong.
It's not true.
Binturong.
Wait, what did you say?
Binturong.
Are you saying Pam or Pan?
Bitterdong?
Spam.
Spam
in a can.
It's right there. Hey, but the excitement again is in the air. We are at the Forrest Wood Cup, one of the premier events in professional bass fishing, and it is a glow. It is a glow right here at the Hot Springs Convention Center, and it's been a pretty crazy derby. I'm sure a lot of you guys are keeping it up on FLW Live. That's just go there. They're broadcasting live right now on the water stuff. Our buddy Alex Davis was doing pretty well. He's creeped down a little bit, but our power pole guy's right up there, isn't he?
He did. He finished in 4th yesterday. Corey Johnston. He's on live today as well. They're covering the top 4. It looked like he fell a couple of spots as well, but they can catch him later in the day.
I think he needs to put the power poles down and just bear down. Just bear down. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what the pattern is out there right now. Maybe that's what it is.
He needs to bear cat down like a binterdong. And I think that would just go swimmingly well. Do bearcats swim, Kurt?
I don't know.
Do you think they're afraid of water?
I only know this fact that they smell like popcorn because of one of the shows.
They smell
at
like
Busch.
Ryan?
Yeah, just like him. I'm sitting right here, close proximity, so I get the full.
Like Smokes and Miller Lite.
Is that what that combination is that I'm catching right now?
Ryan was out late last night.
A bit of a good time.
He's a good time, Binterdong.
Yeah, it was one of those shows at like Busch Gardens or something, and they had one, and they said it smelled like popcorn. It just stuck with me. One of them weird facts.
Yeah. This is your fault, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you're at Busch Gardens, and then you went up, and they're like, check out this animal. It smells like popcorn.
Hot buttered popcorn, according to the internet.
This is what a bass fishing talk show is all about. You realize that, right?
Mammals.
Mammals, yeah. Marsupials, mammals, amphibians, and reptilians. Yes, we're covering it all here on the great wide world of Stray Cats Outdoor Cartoon Television Zoo Show.
There we go.
There it is right there. But Curt Hill, seriously, awesome to have you back on the show. You're no stranger to this maniacy right here, and I mean, and let's just be straight up front about this. Power pole is probably one of the most utilized tools, not only in professional bass fishing, but in recreational fishing as well, from freshwater to saltwater. No sugarcoating it. It really is, dude.
Yeah, I think, I've said it for years. These guys just, once they have it on the boat, they realize all of the advantages. And it's not just for bed fishing, which is what it was perceived as, when it first hit the bass market is, we're only going to use it when they're bedding. And you'll look out there now, and these guys won't take them off their boat because they're going to use them all year for multiple reasons and rock piles and everything else.
It's not just for launching your boat either.
It's not just for breakfast anymore. No. That is true.
But man, yeah, I borrowed a boat recently for a tournament that didn't have it.
Ryan fishes out of a canoe usually.
And
uses the power pole
But
spike.
there's power poles on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uses
But I
the
borrowed
spike.
a boat without any pegs at all, and I was lost. I mean, you get on a stretch and it's windy, and you catch one, and you want to catch another one, and you already blew over the spot.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's almost
a nightmare.
It's almost snobby that the way
It
it
is.
really is. I'm going to be honest. It's almost snobby. It's like, how does that guy do it without power poles?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just being upfront.
And if you look down, if you go to like an event and you see a bunch of boats lined up and there's one without anything on it, and you're like, why does that look funny?
Yeah.
It almost looks weird now to see a
Yep.
tournament angler without any,
It really
anchors.
does. And I seriously don't mean that to sound snobby or snotty, but it's like it's become such a critical element to my fishing as well as most fishermen out there. I mean, just it like to me it's
It'd be like not having a trolling motor. now.
exactly. Thank
You
you.
know?
That was my thoughts. It was like how can you do it without a fish without a trolling motor if we just had to use a sculling paddle still, the weight room is that way.
The
with
guy
a
with a
sculling
push
paddle.
pole on a
Exactly.
platform on the back of the boat.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Binterdong over here would just be completely.
Maybe it's got a paddle tail. He could just.
Yeah, maybe they do. Maybe
Do you,
Binterdongs
do
like
you
a
remember?
platypus.
Do you remember trying to retie if you're fishing a bank that the wind's blowing into? Trying to retie, it was like defusing a bomb.
It really
Like,
was.
You'd have to back off the shore enough for a little time to retie before you blew
And then
into
hop
the
back
shore.
up to the trolling
Hop
motor.
back-
and
hop
then go
back up to
on
the trolling motor. Yeah. Or
it's-
get all your stuff and line it up there and get on the pedal the whole time. Try to do that while retying.
And
Not
it's
cool.
the whole. I mean, and seriously, I mean, I don't mean to be redundant here, but the fact of the matter is, it's not just for bed fishing, like
No.
you said, Kurt. I mean, we're using them like Ryan's saying. Stop the boat, retie a minute, position the boat in one spot for an ideal fish location, launching the boat, the whole deal.
Slowing down the drift.
Exactly,
the
exactly.
paddles.
Yep. Oh
With
yeah,
the
the drift paddles.
Even without the paddles, sometimes if you just put the poles
Yeah.
down a little bit, it's going to give you a little bit more resistance. And it's
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is a tool that has become essential. And so what was the year and I know we talked about this before, but it's not early, but it's too early for me. So what's the,
Couple more Red Bulls in them. and
yeah,
we'll be all right.
it's starting to go. It's starting to
I
go.
got him at XL for today.
He did. That's
good.
gone. That's gone. That's a spark on the horizon right there. That's what that is. CH Marine Cup. Very good. I like that. So what year did they actually come out? And I know the first professional bass fisherman I saw with them, I think, would be Bobby Lane.
It's actually Dean Rojas.
Is it really?
First professional bass fisherman that had them. It was either 04 or 05.
Okay.
When he got his first one. Because he was running a single at the time. The dual, power pole market really hadn't transpired yet and come to light. So Dean was the first one out there on the professional tour that was running power poles.
Gotcha. Okay, and I was under the impression it was one of the Lane brothers, and I thought it was Bobby.
No, it actually wasn't.
Wow, Rojas.
No.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Was it originally an idea for bass fishing, or was it something with the
flats,
flats?
Nope,
right?
it was for saltwater fishing,
Yeah.
fishing the flats. And
Okay.
it's funny because Brian Watts is up in our booth right now, but Greg Watts, his twin brother,
Yeah.
was the first one to actually accept one and put it on his redfish boat to be a tournament redfish angler.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, and I know that, think about it, how it's changed fishing, like, in the Florida Keys, dude.
Oh, yeah.
The guides, it makes their job so much easier.
It's
Yes.
windy on those flats.
Yeah, and they just don't have to bury the push pole, you know what I mean?
Well, and those saltwater fish are a lot more spooky than the bass are. You can't just go up to them with a trolling motor and
Knock
expect
'em on
them
the
to
head.
Yeah.
expect them to stay there. They're gonna run from you. And that's really where the invention came from. He needed something that was quiet, that could stop the boat in a position to where he could cast to the redfish and the schools and catch those fish.
So basically, they needed something that was swift, silent, and secure.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Nailed it. Right on the nose.
You like that slogan I just came up with for Power Pole?
Yeah, I think we might use that one day.
It's a good one. It's a good one. So, how often do you get to fish? I mean, with this, I know you're all like you're at the Forest Wood Club, you're at the Bassmaster Classic. We see you there. You're at ICAST. You're at all these shows. Do you actually get time to fish, Curt?
Occasionally. I get more invites than acceptance that I can go fish. It's not as much as I'd like to.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
definitely not as much as I like to. I do stay busy with the shows because I'm actually working them.
Right.
Not here to fish. Last time we were at this show, though, I did get to fish at this location on Wilson.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So
Or Hamilton. It's Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's Hamilton,
Yep,
not
it's
Wilson.
Hamilton. Yeah.
Wilson's
Some
in
president-
Alabama.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
president.
So
or
who's
something.
taking us fishing?
Yeah.
Who's taking us?
Well, we'll see who makes the cut. So we're going fishing tomorrow morning, aren't we?
Hopefully not Corey.
No,
some open
Corey should
space.
be in the cut.
Yes.
He's gonna be all right.
Yeah,
He's gonna do good.
He should definitely be there. So where you live in Florida, do you fish more freshwater or saltwater?
I tend to fish more saltwater.
Do you? What do you like to fish for in the saltwater?
Redfish,
The
snook,
reds?
trout,
Gotcha.
tarpon.
Dude, tarpon are my favorite fish in the world. Favorite. Love them. Absolutely love them.
Bow to the king.
Dude, it's like, and the amount, it's just, even the thrill of hooking one and not landing them as often as that happens.
Yeah.
It's something that your heart.
Oh yeah,
Dude.
especially if you get a big one on and it jumps in front of the boat and it's big shiner.
It's a beast, dude.
My favorite part of the Roland Martin show is the intro.
It's Roland
That
Morgan.
The Roland Morgan.
Morgan.
Yes. But the tarpon jump in the intro to that show. When I was a kid, I would just watch it just for that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see that tarpon
Dude,
jump.
it's
There's no
outstanding.
YouTube, so
And
that was the one.
The craziest thing that I've ever noticed about a tarpon, like, so you get that big tarpon, all right, and you're holding it. Have you ever noticed how, like, have you ever taken your fist and actually knocked on their mouth?
Oh, it's like concrete.
Dude, it's like a
Really?
12-inch rock face block.
It's a cinder block,
It
basically.
really is.
No kidding.
It's amazing, and that's why we lose them so much. And before the advent of the circle hook, which
Yep.
helped out a great deal.
Yep.
I mean, it was like pretty much you'd land one, it's safely say 1 out of 12. I mean,
Probably, yeah, something like
it's
that.
Crazy.
So if
It's
a
a very low
crappie,
percentage.
if a crappie's a paper mouth, what's a tarpon?
It's a 12-inch rock face block mouth.
Steel mouth?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a 12-inch rock face. It's kind of got the mouth of a binternong dong.
Binternong mouth.
Yeah.
This thing's not going away.
It's a super bon super binder dong dong. You know what I mean? That's what the whole deal is. But so when you're tarpon fishing, and I'm fascinated by this, so forgive me if I'm going on this. But are you using bait or are you using lures?
Crabs.
Crabs. Gotcha. And
most
then
of the time. I have lured before with big swim baits.
okay.
Sink them down to the bottom and catch them that way. But most of the time it's going to be live bait, crabs, greenbacks.
So are you over by Boca Grande Pass there? Is that where you guys are?
Well, north of Anna Maria, under the Skyway. Not really. Boca Grande's about an hour and a half away from us, so we
Okay.
tend to fish Tampa Bay a little bit more.
Gotcha. Okay. I saw the Grateful Dead in the Black Crows in Tampa Bay once.
Nice.
Yeah. Just thought I'd share that with you.
At the same time?
Yes,
They played together?
The Black Crows opened up for the Grateful Dead. I think it was the last year that who's the guy that makes the ice cream? Jerry Garcia. I think it was the
Cherry Garcia.
Cherry Garcia. Yes, I
Yeah.
think it was his last year there, and it was in
Yes.
Tampa Bay. I lived in where did I live at that time, Andy?
I forgot.
Boca Raton. Yep, I said it. It's right. They get mad at me when I reference that I lived in Boca Raton.
Why is that?
Says it a lot.
Because it's amazing fishing around there.
You
So
bet you go
I
every
have
other
fond
day.
memories of Florida. And did I ever tell you I lived in Boca Raton for 10 years?
No, tell me about your 10 years. How was Boca Raton for 10 years?
Well, it was awesome, actually, Kurt. So let me tell you. I'll tell you guys how it started. So I got in my car. I packed things up. Lived in a small town in Indiana, and headed my way towards Boca Raton, mouth of the Rat.
Tropical paradise.
Tropical. It's living in a tropical paradise. It's once or twice.
Hey, there's great fishing there, though.
It was an Amish paradise, actually. There is phenomenal fishing there. And then let's just end the story. I'm here now. There it is.
There you are.
There you
Let's
go.
see how we did that? It was a full circle. So the tarpon fishing, where you live, you're by you're doing it under the bridges, by the
Yeah.
pilings, dude, and that's a recipe for disaster.
Always.
I've done that by the Peace River, okay, and that's, I mean, think about it, bro. I mean, even the big snooks.
Oh, yeah.
in
They
there.
like to sit up under those bridges and overpasses and everything else.
And they just go. It's like, okay, they know to go to that.
Yeah.
That's their recluse, where they go.
What's the land ratio? Hook to land ratio
On a
on
tarpon?
those things, yeah.
I wouldn't give it any more than 30%.
Really? Wow.
And again, those circle hooks helped a big deal, dude.
Oh, yeah, but you still, I mean, like I said, bow to the king earlier. If you don't do it, you're going to pull that hook out.
Yeah, exactly. And the deal with the snooks is, if you could turn them quick,
Yeah.
then you pretty much got it.
Yeah. You got to watch their gill plates because they're like razor blades.
Oh, absolutely they are. And how fun is it to go, like, I know Ryan loves skipping docks for bass.
I do.
And skipping docks for snooks is, dude, that is so
I wanna
fun.
do
dude.
it.
You could skip docks or mangroves.
Yeah,
Get right up
really.
underneath those mangrove roots and
Absolutely.
The one time I was Tampa Bay, I was excited to go try to catch them. It was like one of the worst winters they had ever had, and all the there was dead snook everywhere.
everywhere.
This is like
Yeah.
2012, something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh.
And snook season was closed for the whole year,
It was rough.
and they were just dead everywhere.
And are the snooks still
I'm so
regulated
bummed.
in season? I know
They are regulated right now, yeah.
there's only a certain time of year where you can keep them, correct?
Correct. And you've got to get a stamp on your fishing license, and you can only keep one per day. Or
Gotcha. I mean, and most people are releasing them, correct? I mean,
yeah,
they're-
most people are. But they're still good eating if you can get them in slot.
They're delicious eating. That's what I was getting at here, man. I mean, some snook and some hush puppies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
yeah.
We're talking. Or have you ever had snook fritters?
I have not had snook fritters.
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, snook fritters. There was a bait. Everybody thinks of Bagley lures as a famous wooden crankbait, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody knows, especially it's a Florida staple too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, right there out of Winter Haven. But Bagley used to make a bait called the salty dog shrimp. Do you remember it?
I do.
Dude, that was the snook and tarpon killer around bridge pilings.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a little old shrimp imitation bait on a lead head. I think they were like ½ ounce or something. Probably came in the 1 ounce size too, or 3/4 too, and you'd take those, and that was kind of like the predecessor of kind of where I kind of learned how to fish a football jig, because you'd stroke that thing, you'd hop it.
Oh, yeah, you'd have to
You
hit
hop
it hard.
Yeah, you hop that thing, and dude, when those tarpon or those snook would hit it around those pilings, crazy, most craziest strikes ever. Slacking the line, gone. It was
Yeah,
kind of like
in
Luke,
an instant.
It was kind of like Luke Duncan was explaining ledge fishing to me throwing 15-inch worms.
Yeah.
How the fish on Gunnersville when he's out there or on Pickwick on the ledges and they hit it. He goes, all of a sudden you just pick. Where's my line? And they're already they're gone. and they're gone, dude. So all right, enough about tarpon fishing. That was kind of selfish of me, but I enjoyed it. So.
Well, he lived in Boca Raton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Internet high five, please, Mr. Hill. Thank you. Yeah, that's how we do it right there. What's new for Power Pole? What's going on? What do you guys got?
Well, the Power Pole charger will be the next item out on the market from us. It is our new battery charger that is not just a battery charger. It's a battery management system.
Gotcha.
So it can give you, if you download the Sea Monster app on your smartphone, it'll give you live feedback of where your battery status is at any time.
Really?
It'll also balance your cranking battery throughout the day by pulling power from where you have it, like your trolling motor batteries,
Okay.
and giving it back to your cranking battery.
Really?
So it'll balance that so that, you never get stuck out there on the water, because now everybody's running so many graphs and electronics and their live well pump and everything's going off their
Microwave.
cranking battery.
Yes.
It just drains it throughout the day. So, one of the things we ran into was that happening. They were all worried about their battery life. So we came up with a charger that now encompasses everything. It charges from your alternator. It balances throughout the day. It plugs into shore power. It's got an emergency jump start feature in it. I mean, we've got a charger that's coming, and it's nice.
And what's the technical name for it?
It's called the Power Pole Charge.
The Power Pole Charger. So can you add this feature to it? Can you do like an Alexa thing? So can
Alexa, find Bess.
Alexa, Power Pole Charger, please check cranking battery. And then it talks you back like this sexy power pole lady talks back to you. Can we make that happen?
What if it's me on there that's talking back
It's not
to
as
you?
appealing. I'm just being honest.
I had to throw it out there.
It's not as
lady
it's
angler
my
so
voice.
you can get the
No,
He's
mail
going
out.
to say it one time, and
I got it.
you're at 12 volts right now, Pat Renwick.
Sorry, Kurt. I got that.
Turn off your graphs.
I got-
It's 2 foot of water.
So no, here's my idea. This dude, I'm an idea man. You know that. I feed the mayonnaise
Oh,
right
yeah.
to the tuna fish, and you don't even have to waste time making sandwiches. You know that. Here's the idea. So you remember that the woman at the Bassmaster Classic that did the presentation?
Oh, yeah.
That was the most perfect voice I have ever heard in my life. I was standing next to Zona, and we looked at each other and like, wait, well, is it she? Wait, that's a real person.
Yeah, she was talking.
Dude, she nailed it.
Oh, yeah.
She did. She was not even looking at anything. She mesmerized the crowd with her beauty and her golden voice. And it was like, wow.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Where did you find her? Is she an alien?
She might, maybe.
Wow. But seriously, she was awesome.
No, yeah, she's really good.
Okay,
She's
so
really
we're going to make her the voice of the Power Pole charging system.
good. All right.
Deal?
Hey, if we can get that done, we can make her the voice.
Seriously, sit here right now and tell me that's not a genius idea.
Well,
Come on, Kurt. That's a genius idea.
I think
Seriously.
it might be already in the works, and he doesn't want to talk about it.
You
there's a lot of things I can't talk
Yeah,
about.
so-
I can't face Pat for this portion.
Yeah,
because I told him you can't bullshit a bullshitter, and that's what he's doing right now.
that
He's
would
trying
be
to by turning his back to
really
me.
cool, though.
So you agree? You
Like-
want it to talk back to you?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
How much charge do I have left on my trolling motor batteries?
Yes.
Well,
Where-
I mean,
54%.
Which compartment did I put the saltines and peanut butter in?
Yeah.
Power pole charging lady.
Find bobber stop.
left box.
Where is that chartreuse balsa crankbait that I had tied on yesterday? And then she tells me. She knows everything.
It
She's
flew
on-
out of the boat
she's-
because you didn't put
she's
it away.
omnipresent.
Well, with the technology of AI now, I mean, you never know what's going to happen.
Dude, it's a genius idea. So
Yeah.
you have the lady, the alien lady from the Bassmaster Classic. She
Yes.
comes on and she talks through the power pole charging system.
All right.
Seriously, done deal.
Yeah.
And then I will need my initials somewhere on that as the Pat Renwick signature.
The
series.
PR?
Yeah, the PR power pole, the PRPP BC AI. The Pat Renwick power pole battery charger artificial intelligence interactive unit.
AIU.
AIU.
There you
Yes.
go.
Damn it, forgot the U. but it's right there. Should I write it down?
We may have to. Yeah.
Let's write this down.
Let's go.
Binterdong. There it is, right there.
Smells like popcorn.
In all seriousness, though, that thing is, I mean, that's like a full boat management.
It is.
Yeah, it's a
That's
power
all.
management system.
Yeah. It's
It
a
takes so
foreman
much
for your boat.
stress. Like I'm always worried about something dying. You know,
yeah.
you're always thinking about your batteries in a tournament. You know, you get down to the last hour, you're like, I don't want to have my batteries be dead and be late or whatever. But just knowing it's going to take a lot of the stress out of tournament fishing.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
100%. Great invention. What else is in the works?
Well, I mean, we've talked about the Vision. It's still in the works. It's, control everything on the boat, all of your accessories with touch of buttons. The cool thing is since last year when I was on the show, we've put in macros now where you can set up multiple devices on one button. So you can do your power pole anchors, your jack plate, your trim and tilt. So when you are about to go to, take off, you can hit one button and it'll put everything into position for you to take off.
Really? And
Wow.
that's on the Vision or on the charging?
On the Vision.
Will the Vision and the charging system eventually be?
Well, the Charge broadcasts all of its information. The
Okay.
Vision's able to pick all of that up, as
Gotcha.
well as you can pick all that up on your app as well.
Gotcha.
So they don't have to be with each other. You can get the charger and still get all the information from it. And we're also working with a couple of MFD manufacturers that will be able to start picking up that information as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
Nice.
So it can adjust my Atlas jack plate as well as my power poles when I'm ready to rip.
And your trim and tilt on the motor.
And wow.
And if you're running a saltwater boat, the trim tabs as well. All at the same time, get it into that hole shot position where your boat is set up right for the hole shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as you get up on plane, you could have another one that says top speed for all the settings. It'll raise and
you
lower. Yeah, it'll trim the motor back out, the trim
Wow.
tabs. So you can set up multiple buttons on your screen for all different uses. And then when you get to the spot, you can have, fishing spot. Hit that, trims your motor up, lifts your jack plate so it's no longer in the water, drops your anchors down so you can get out all your stuff and get ready to go fishing.
Dude,
Wow.
that's science.
Oh, yeah.
Weird science. It's crazy that's where it's come, dude. And I'm gonna bring it full circle here because I thought it was a big deal when I used to be able to take my trolling motor and put it in my red wagon and tie it to the back of my BMX bike and bring it to the lake and put it in a boat. Okay. The Vision and the power pole charging system. That's evolution.
Yeah.
That's evolution.
It's
I
next
mean, we're
level.
getting dangerously close to being like a Tesla, where the boat drives itself. I mean, that's one step away.
Yeah, well, we didn't want to take any of the, major functionalities of operation away from the boat at all.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But I mean, that's the only thing that's left after all this. It's like
No,
we'll let the
autopilot.
motor manufacturers worry
That'd
about
be
that,
awesome.
though.
There's
If I could
one.
just sit
There's
down on the
one
front
thing
deck,
left,
you
but
know?
Curt knows nothing about it,
That's right.
and we can't even talk about it right now. There's one thing left.
I don't know what he's talking
It's
about.
something that is going to revolutionize the front end of your boat. I said it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know what you're talking about. The power pole total boat control revolution is among us.
Hey, I do want to bring up one thing that I want to kind of clear out
Please
some
do.
vents here.
Yeah, dude.
A lot of people are getting real excited about these spot lock trolling motors
Yeah.
that are coming out.
Sure.
That everybody there's a big consensus of that they don't necessarily need our product anymore. But I wanted to kind of clear the air on that a
Yeah.
little bit and just elaborate on that.
Not true.
No, it's not. And
Yeah.
what's the scenario that you're thinking of? Because I've got
Shallow
a few,
water.
a few of them now.
Weeds,
Weeds.
shallow water. I mean, bed fishing, you don't want your trolling motor buzzing around the fish.
Yeah.
You know, blowing prop wash over the fish's bed.
Exactly.
That's terrible. If you're in thick grass, though, too, I mean, you can't put that thing out on a slop mat. No. I mean, it's going to get choked up. You're going to wear it on your batteries. You're going to disturb
I think
the whole
shallow
area.
water sums it up.
Shallow water
Shallow
in
water
general.
does sum it up.
Yeah.
I think shallow water sums
The other
it up.
thing that I didn't really realize at first, but I know it now, is the wind direction If you're on your trolling motor and you're spot locked, you're going to be casting into the wind.
Yes, unless you stand on your back deck.
Right. So you
Which
still
in-
want to be in control of your boat. You want to be on the front deck.
Well, there's a lot of
Putting the
tournaments where
anchors
you can't
down.
go to the back deck,
That-
where it's not even allowed to fish off the back deck.
Yeah, that
You
too.
have a
So you're going to have
co-angler.
to cast
Yeah.
over your boat to get to where you want to go.
You have to cast over your co-angler's head.
Yeah.
He's not gonna like that.
And then you're putting him in position to catch those fish and not you.
It's a
That has
lose-lose.
happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you want to cast with the wind, you know, you anchor the back of the boat,
Mm-hmm.
point into the wind, and you can have the advantage there. You know,
Exactly.
especially
And lo-
during
loading
those
the boat too. I mean, loading and unloading the boat by yourself.
Oh yeah. It's
The
a
outside
general
sound thing's
area.
gonna
It's
help
not
you with
locking
that.
you down in
Let
one
me give you an
spot.
example of a
Okay.
guy right here. Okay, so Luke Clausen in the first Elite Series event this year. Well, or no, actually, was it Lake Martin? Was the first Elite Series event? I believe so. Producer, was it Lake Martin the first? Yeah, so Lake Martin
Yes.
was the first Elite Series event, and Luke Clausen, phenomenal angler.
Oh yeah.
And he's out there. He was drop shotting, okay, and he actually was standing. He had the spot lock trolling motor, the Minn Kota spot lock, and he's there drop shotting, and then all of a sudden his rod just goes, and he's like, he. I'm not gonna say it because there's kids around here, but it went out over Bass Live, and he's like, I knew that was gonna happen. His line got stuck in the spot lock,
Oh.
and it was gone.
Yeah. When you're vertical jigging, it's right there next to that prop.
Yeah.
Yep.
And honestly, I mean, that is a great. It's a big deal. Also, the spot
Yeah.
lock, it helps out a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
anglers,
Oh, yeah.
but there are certain
Scenarios.
yes, for both of those. So having both of those is a win-win. That's
Oh, man.
that's for
Absolutely.
sure. There's no doubt about it.
And they don't replace each other. That
No.
was kind of the point that I
No.
was just trying to make there is it just doesn't replace the one from the other.
And I've heard that too, Kurt. And it's like that's kind of an ignorant statement actually, because if you fish any shallow water, you realize that that's just, I mean, and I'm talking shallow, dude. You know, you don't
Yeah.
want that trolling motor constantly humming
Yeah.
and just
Yeah,
kicking up
blowing
silts
mud everywhere.
All that sediment on the bottom
Yeah,
just getting
but it
kicked
is a
up
good
in
way
the
to chum crawdads out of the dirt. Yeah, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, again, thanks so much for everything that Power Pole does for this show, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Dude, we're so honored that you guys are a major sponsor of the show, and I mean that sincerely, man. I mean,
Oh, we appreciate it.
I really do. And I think before we go, we need to come up with a name for the AI battery charging system, Woman's Voice.
I thought you just wrote down a big old acronym.
No, but I need a name for her.
Oh,
Yeah, for her name.
her name.
Yes, that's going to speak.
Something initials PP.
I'm asking
right?
Kurt. Yeah, come on. Kurt, what is it going to be?
Destiny.
Destiny is perfect. Yes. Destiny, the
like
new
that.
AI power pole girl. We love it. Thanks so much, dude. Appreciate that. Was awesome because it
Hey,
popped at the
perfect.
same time. We're like frat guys. You know what I'm saying? That's right.
Couldn't do that again if we tried.
Hey, put the power poles down. Don't go anywhere. I'm Pat Renwick, Ryan Binternong, Bearcat Whitaker, and also Curt Hill. Hey, we'll see you soon. Continues Forrest Wood Cup 2018. Ciao. Do you know where you are? We don't know where you are either. You're somewhere in internet land.
You in the jungle, baby.
You're in the jungle, baby. But right now, we are at the Forrest Wood Cup 2018 live from the Hot Springs Convention Center. I'm your host, Pat Renwick. Ryan Popcorn, Bearcat Williker.
Yeah, what was that word?
Bearcat Billadong.
That's right.
Bernadong. And now we're pretty excited to bring back our buddy, the owner of Jackson Kayaks and FLW Tour Pro. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for this guy, Eric Jackson, right there.
Wow.
Listen to him.
Unbelievable. Look at the crowd. Okay, guys. No, really. Please,
Seriously.
be seated.
You see what
Thank
I'm saying?
Thank you. It's unbelievable.
You see what I'm saying?
Just
Look
when-
at the Eric Jackson signs.
Yeah, just having the.
They got their number one fingers
It
up.
says, I heart Eric.
No, that's cool. I just didn't expect it. I didn't realize we were going to a big live studio with this many people around.
Yeah.
So thanks for
Yeah.
doing this.
This
and,
is bigger than the Jerry Springer show.
Yeah.
Yes.
And with but the fights are more impressive.
We're
too.
hoping for fights, actually.
exactly.
Yes, we're hoping for some full knockdown dragouts is what we're looking for here.
Okay. Well, then I can help with that. So I'll be the instigator.
But dude, awesome to see you again. You know, we got to meet you for the first time last year at the Cup in the Carolinas over what lake were we on again last year?
Where were we last year? I can't even
See,
remember.
you're
where
like
we
me.
are.
I don't even know where I am every day.
Murray.
Mercury.
Lake Murray, South Carolina.
Yeah.
That's where we were. Yeah.
That's
Well,
exactly where we were.
So we're here at Lake of Ouachita in Hot Springs, Arkansas right now. And this place always seems to draw in a big crowd. We were here a couple of years ago. I wasn't on your show here a couple of years ago. I don't know if you were here.
We weren't here.
You weren't here. That
Yeah.
makes way more sense.
We were
We
still
weren't born
embryos. Yeah, we were embryos at
Yeah.
that time.
Okay, well, now you're actually
Full-grown
doing the show.
humans.
Full-grown. There you go.
Maybe.
Well, what are we talking about today? I
We
mean,
just make stuff up as we go, Eric. You know
Oh.
how we do it here on Stray Cast.
Oh, in that
this is
case-
not a normal bass fishing talk show.
Well, in that case, it's pretty easy. So
Yeah.
I should show you. I've got a really cool video I could show you if you want to see me catch an 11-pounder last week.
They can't see it.
But I can like this. Like,
But Eric's going to show a
you see
video
that?
of an
But
11
watch-
powder. They
wow.
won't be able to see it, Eric.
No, I can't
But
see
you
it.
could
Oh,
describe
man.
it. Describe the feeling of you catching the 11
Describe the
pounder.
noises like. Whoa!
That's
Oh my God! Unbelievable! And then nobody's around. Like, whoa! And I'm looking around. Nobody's around. Oh! Don't come off! Don't come off! Oh, sexy dog! Sexy dog! Because that's what I was doing. I just kept saying, "Sexy dog."
Were you in the kayak?
I was in my kayak. I was in my new Blue Sky Angler 360, the boat that won Best of Show in ICAST.
Yeah, dude.
So anyway, that boat is it's our newest fishing platform. It's a twin hulled like catamaran, so it's like 4 feet wide, super stable because it's twin hull. The hulls are really narrow and fast, so it really cruises. So anyway, it's we're pretty excited about it. You're actually sitting like 3 feet up, like in a full like bass boat style pedestal seat. It's unbelievable. So anyway, it's we're redefining what a kayak is really in this boat. So it's like kind of a cross between a kayak and a catamaran.
Yeah, dude. And I thought the most impressive thing about it has a 200 horsepower rating on that new kayak. That was super impressive.
It does. As soon as you can find the first 200 horsepower human, then we can test it out. But as of right now, I've never been able to figure out how many horsepower I am, but I can push it about 4 miles an hour, and our 3 horsepower motor pushes it at about 5 miles an hour. So I must be about 2 horsepower.
Yeah, you're a 275.
I'm a 2.75.
2.75.
Yeah.
Industry standard.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a little bit overrated.
But seriously, when I was walking by the booth up there, I noticed that crossbreed kayak catamaran,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow, now that is stability right there. I mean, dude.
That is, we're here. Obviously, this is a bass boat tournament. We're at the Forrest Cup, and everybody's running 250 horsepower motors and a big bass boat you run around on. And the crowd that are here that are watching and checking things out, a lot of these people, they fish on, John boats, tracker boats, bass boats, skiffs, or whatever. And when they see a regular kayak, even a fishing kayak, even a new age fishing kayak like we make that is stable, you can stand up on, it's not big and stable enough for them to be feel like that they can make that transfer from a big boat to that right away.
Right.
This boat, this new Angler 360, that's like I said, it's 4 feet wide, catamaran, a big walk-around platform. Literally, you can walk around. You've got a really high seat.
Padded deck.
Padded deck, the whole deal. They look at that and they're like, wait, I can just step off the dock onto that boat. Now that I can do. So it's
Exactly.
mentally they're into it, and that's what we were going for. Just bridging the gap. For $3,500 you can get on the water in just an epic fishing platform where, they've never had that before.
And again, the mobility and access now out of a more stable platform. I mean, that thing still breaks down, and you could put it in the back of any pickup truck.
You don't have to break it down. It slides right back. Even in a small pickup truck, it's 48 inches wide. It will slide in the back
Right
of a
in.
pickup truck.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
So, and it's got wheels on the back. You just lift up the front. You roll it on the wheels like you're pulling a lightweight trailer. Put the front end on the tailgate. Walk around to the back, lift up the back, and just slide it in. You've got you're in. Just one strap so it doesn't slide out the back, and you're good to go.
That is awesome.
And then the way we're using these boats, we're the thing that makes kayak fishing or fishing out of like this Angler 360 by Blue Sky Boats so fun is that you go places that don't have boat ramps. And if they don't have boat ramps, not very many boats go there. And when not a lot of boats go there.
You know what that means.
Yeah.
You know, it
Got
keeps
some
going
dumb
down
fish.
the road.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. So
Yep.
all of a sudden you catch lots of fish, bigger fish. Fish aren't pressured. So when you see a really nice lay down and you're fishing one of our kayaks, you're looking at that lay down and you're thinking to yourself, there's a fish in there. If you're fishing a big public lake, you're looking at lay down and you're like, there should be a fish in there, but I don't know who was, how many people tried to catch that fish or caught that fish in the last hour, you know what I mean? So the difference is night and day. It's just an amazing feeling going to a place knowing.
It's the unknown.
Yeah,
It's
knowing.
the total unknown.
And the silent approach too, the stealthy
s-
approach.
yeah,
You're
super
not moving
quiet.
much water.
People don't realize just how much noise a trolling motor makes, even like on a level 3 or 4 on the trolling motor.
Sure.
With with a paddle, like literally, like my line is, you watch behind you and the school is following you. They think you're like mama fish, like you really the sounds you make when you're paddling, in particular, is like it's not scary to the fish. So you can
Right.
sneak right up on them. They look at you like, oh hey man, what's up? Where we hit your trolling motor, they're like, ah, and they all go scatter.
Yeah.
So do you sometimes feel uncomfortable when you have to step into your Ranger? I mean, I know you love your Ranger.
Oh, I love my Ranger. So yeah, don't get it wrong. So I love the feeling of going 200 or 75 miles an hour. In my Ranger Z520L with my Evinrude G2 on the back.
There you go. Nice. Way to go. Good sponsor plugs right
Thanks,
there.
man.
I like that.
Well, that's what I'm running because I'm a smart fella that way.
Yeah.
So I always run the best stuff. So anyway, getting that feeling and be able to cover distance going from here to wherever I want to go, that's super fun to me, and I wouldn't want to give that up. But if I had to choose between my bass boat and a kayak, right now I have one kayak and one bass boat. You have to give one up. You're never allowed to use the other one the rest of your life. Immediately, and forget even if I had a kayak company, I would go with the kayak right away, simply because I catch more and bigger fish. The best way I'd put it is right now we have a $1 million tournament, $1 million. You have 5 days to catch the 5 biggest fish. Anywhere in the world you want to go, any type of boat, I would fish all 5 days out of my kayak.
Out of the kayak.
Out of the kayak.
Have you ever put your kayak in your bass boat and gone to a spot and then snuck in with the
I'm
kayak?
gonna ask the same thing.
Asking about that. We call that mother shipping.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Tell us a mother shipping story.
Okay, so
The aircraft carrier.
mother shipping. So I live on a lake called Center Hill Lake down in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, sure. Over by Dale Hollow. And that.
Near Dale Hollow, yeah. And that lake has a lot of neat spots. It also has some really cool waterfalls coming in.
Okay.
So there's 2 ways to mothership. One is I take my whitewater kayak and I run around the lake. And have you ever been on Lake Cumberland, whatever, you go back and there's all these beautiful waterfalls dropping off the mountain into the lake?
Sure.
Well, those waterfalls, we run those in whitewater kayaks, right? So
Nice.
So the Ranger gets me to the waterfalls to go run the kayak. So that's super cool. Now the other thing is using your fishing kayak in there. So you run your Ranger up a creek, up a tributary. You get to where all the bass boats are stalled. And it's kind of like a bunch of fish getting stuck, and nobody goes any further, right? Well, then you get your kayak in and you keep going. Once you go any further than the bass boats can go, suddenly the fishing gets really good.
Nice.
And it's unbelievable. It's just kind of, you're literally waving at the guys going, hey guys.
See you later.
I got my-
Mothership has landed.
Mothership's landed. I'm in my shuttle now, and now I'm over where you can't go, and I'm like nailing them. And the best example at Center Hill Lake is actually right at Rock Island State Park. The Caney Fork River comes in, and there's one last big rapid, like a waterfall. It's a rapid, but it drops over some rocks. And right where it drops in, literally, like in this one area that's from that waterfall back about 5 feet, is stacked with huge smallmouth, largemouth, and spotted bass.
Wow.
Where you literally, if you can cast into there, you just cast and you bam, and they're all big, and they're stacked, and it's like nonstop. The bass boats can only get within 50 yards of there. Now I fish the 50 yards down below there, and yeah, you can catch fish, but no, you catch big fish, and almost every cast, you can get a limit in 15 minutes.
Wow.
In your kayak there. So you park the boat, and you paddle up there. You get your big fish, and they watch you, and you're like, oh, and you just can't get up there. I actually tried to get up there with my Ranger once. The first time I ever put a Ranger in the water, that's the first place I went. and I was running the trolling motor on 10 against the current, and it just barely kept up, and I was like, oh, I've got this. And I did a cast, and I caught a fish, and you know how you accidentally tap the trolling motor and it goes to the side?
Sure.
Well, it went to the side, almost fell in, and then now I'm flying backwards in the current, and then my engine, bam, into the rocks, and my wife's like,
not good.
What are you doing?
Not
Like,
good.
This is literally my first time. And you're like, you just got like a Ferrari, and now you're off-roading it? Like,
Yes, exactly. So does Jackson Kayak make a mothership bracket? Like where
No. It's the boat just sits there. I mean, you just like it. You know, in between your consoles, if you only have one console, you just sit it on top. And if you put one hand on it, it's not going. I mean, if you're bouncing long distances, you know how you have the tie-down cleats for your boat.
Sure.
You
Yep.
just use that to tie it down, and that's all you need.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
So you just kind of bungee
We
it or
make
tie it.
Jackson Kayak straps. You know, cam straps. They say Jackson Kayak. They're about 12 feet long, and that's the perfect thing to put it down on.
Just put them on the boat cleats.
Yep. You just put it on the boat loop, put it on the bracket, and hold it down, and cruise down the lake.
And then you can go 75.
Go
The
75.
mothership goes 75, gets to the promised land. Mothership
Drops.
drops the kayak.
Yeah, you just power pole down on the bank and maybe tie off if it's windy or whatever, and then off you go. Come back to mothership, go somewhere else.
Boom.
Pretty
And
super fun.
speaking of power poles, you guys are actually building the back ends of these boats so you can put those micro power poles on them now.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, starting in 2013 is our first year where we put a recess. So the power pole micro, you can run 10-foot stakes, just like the big power pole blades. It's a little micro, it's battery operated, it's an epic power pole. Anyway, there's a bracket that has four holes for screws that you screwed into a boat. Now, if you're putting it on a John boat or whatever, you got to drill holes and then put wood screws in. Here with our boats, we have brass inserts that are already ready to go. You literally just drop the bracket on, and the 4 screws are included, and to screw it in with a screwdriver, it takes 60 seconds. Drop your power pole on, and it's on the back of your boat, and then off you go. And you've got the same remote you would wear on a bass boat. It's around your neck. Double down, boom, it goes all the way down. Even when you're not in water shallow enough for the power pole to hit, which is about 9 foot for the 10-foot thing because it's above the water, about 9 feet. You can use it as a water break. So you put the power pole down, and the wind is blowing. That stake sticking way down there slows you down, turns your bow downwind, and you just like slowly drift, and then you can fish that way. And I did that in Kentucky Lake. The FLW had their first kayak fishing tournament a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
And that worked out real good.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. And seriously, we've seen in probably, I'd say safely, the last 4 or 5 years, just an explosion of kayak anglers, an explosion.
What you're seeing there, is going to continue. So, where it started, a lot of people wonder why all of a sudden kayak fishing, and the way it started was they've been making fishing kayaks for a long time, but it was kayakers making kayaks, and then after they made the kayak, say to a fisherman, hey, is there any way we can make this a fishing kayak?
Right.
And it was just a regular recreational kayak, and you'd put a couple rod holders. But it never reached critical mass. People didn't buy them very often because you're sitting down at water level. It wasn't a good fishing platform. It was just a kayak with a rod holder. Well, what Jackson Kayak did in 2011, we brought 2 things to the industry that nobody had ever done. We brought an elevated seat and a standing platform with a wide, stable kayak that you could stand up in and have a high seating position. Those 2 things made it so the pro fishing guys that fish out of bass boats could get in it and be like, man, this is a great fishing platform.
Comfortable.
It's comfortable. You can see in the water. You can stand up. It's just like fishermen don't sit on their butt in the seat behind the steering wheel.
Bill Dance
Just
does.
Bill Dance,
Dance, yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
David
not,
Fritz.
Yeah, not usually behind the steering wheel. They actually sit elevated enough, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
Bill Dance does prefer behind the steering wheel, but they make him get up on
They
the
make
front.
them, okay, got
Yeah,
it.
they make
Well, whatever. That's good information to have. But most people
You heard it
don't
here
know.
first, folks.
Bill Dance sits behind the steering wheel. Got it. Okay, good to know. So those 2 things, all of a sudden, we did it, and then other brands started doing it too. So active, hardcore fishermen started getting into it and saying, these boats are great for fishing, and where they weren't before. And that's really what created the explosion. So we're now seeing, I think in 5 years, probably maybe even 3 or 4 years, more people will fish in a year out of a kayak than any other type of boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's the numbers that are being sold today are just are huge and way bigger than any. There's a lot of used bass boats and John boats out there, but the number of new kayaks being sold outweighs any of those categories.
And they're
by a lot.
affordable. Bottom line, they're affordable.
And they're affordable, and they're functional, and they're literally the best fishing platform that to get in and catch fish, as long as you don't have to cover long distances.
Right.
Absolutely.
And all the derbies too, all these tournaments popping up too. I think that's got a lot to do with it.
And that's really grassroots, so just basically kayak clubs, very grassroots clubs, just get together. They have like the $20 after work deal, Saturdays, whatever. And then they start having little tours. Now the kayak bass fishing's got in and kind of helped organize those people, and they made them qualifying tournaments for the big national championships. I think the national championships had 700 boats.
Wow.
$100,000 payout in a kayak. So there's we're seeing some upper level stuff happen as well.
Yeah.
But if you want to fish out of a kayak, you can go wherever you live. If there's water, there's a kayak club and there's a tournament for you.
Right. It is huge around Chicago right now. I mean,
sure
there's
Chicago.
kayak
Detroit area
every
too.
weekend.
We see them all over Lake St. Clair.
And if you see them in Lake St. Clair, that's what I'm talking about. Like you see them on lakes like that. And the funny thing is, the people, like when you're talking about you seeing kayaks, you're seeing them on lakes that are big lakes.
Lake Michigan, all the time.
If you want to see a lot of kayaks, you go to where you're not seeing is all the kayaks that are out fishing all the little tributaries and the stuff where
just wrecking them.
Where you can't
wrecking them.
Yeah, and where you can't see them because they're not where you can see them from a boat.
Well, yeah, we were running way up this river in Indiana. As far as, we thought anyone could go, and then we see a couple kayakers way up there past the lay-down we can't get past.
They got where we couldn't. Absolutely. I was like, damn it. Wish I had a chainsaw.
Yeah, so like some of my best fishing I do. So tomorrow night I fly to Canada. I'm flying to Ontario. My wife drove the RV up there with my Coos HD. It's a paddle drive fishing kayak. And on Tuesday morning, I'm going to be packed and ready. I'll have 5 days of camping gear with me, all my fishing stuff. And I'm going off-road. I'm going down the Ottawa River in some of the biggest rapids.
Wow.
And running these big rapids to get to these big pools. And where these big pools are, and during the floods, there's all these oxbows off the river, but right now the water's low. The oxbows are cut off from the main river. They're in the middle of nowhere. I'll be dragging over like a series of beaver dams, for a couple miles up off river, get way out into this crystal clear water, big bass, big pike. It's going to be like nobody's ever, like they've never seen a lure. They're just like, ooh, shiny thing. And like,
nice.
I'm going to be top water fishing. That's just going to be
It sounds like an adventure, dude.
Unbelievable.
Have you done the saltwater deal out of your kayaks?
I do. I've not done a lot of like open water. I've done a little bit of open water, like for jacks and stuff, but primarily I've done redfish.
Gotcha.
So on the flats, so like Delacroix, Louisiana, for example, we had the World Adventure Kayak Fishing Championships there 2 years in a row. So fishing the flats, so that my experience in fishing the flats, you have flats boats and these skiffs that are designed to go in super skinny water. Yeah. Well, super skinny water and their terms, and super skinny water for a kayak are two different things. We're able to paddle where you put your paddle in the mud and literally you're floating in maybe an inch of water, and your boat's in a little bit of, like floating over a half inch of mud, and you're just like paddling through the mud to get into these little backwater areas where you look and the fish aren't tailing, they're tailing and backing. and you stand up in your kayak and you look and you pick the biggest fish to cast to.
Wow.
And then you look and you see like a quarter mile away these flats boats just circling around wishing they could get there, and they can't. But anyway,
can't do it.
If you're going to go red
There's
fishing,
Eric Jackson.
If you're going to go red fishing and you want to go sight fishing for redfish in the flats, you take a kayak, and it is just unbelievable.
You know what would be an amazing sight? If you got a guy like Greg Hackney, an 8-foot flip stick, and around some of those seal islands in Australia, and just jacking a great white out of a Jackson kayak.
So the biggest fish ever caught out of a Jackson kayak was a 2,500-pound shark, a great white, out of a Jackson kayak.
Dude, that's crazy.
The dude, it's on video. Just look up 2,500 great white Jackson kayak, and you'll see the dude do it. I mean, he pretty much lands the thing. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Obviously it couldn't quite fit on his lap. But,
wasn't happening.
But he literally, he fights and he wins the battle, and he's got this 2,500-pound shark.
It's on YouTube?
Dangerous.
It's on YouTube. Check it out. I don't remember the name. I'm assuming if you do 2,500-pound great white Jackson kayak, you'll find it.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's the record that we know, and it didn't eat him or nothing.
Didn't need him or not. He still
Yeah.
lived to tell about it.
He's like, man, this is the first time the bait has ever tried to catch me. Like I've never been caught by a bait fish
It actually
before.
came to the
Yeah.
kayak,
It's-
like it was a seal.
Yeah.
That's outstanding.
It's pretty cool. So that was pretty sweet. And
So
then,
where do people get Jackson kayaks if
So-
they want to purchase them?
Yeah, so kayaks are pretty easy to find. The best way, if you go to jacksonkayak.com or blueskyboats.com or other brand for the Angler 360, that catamaran, you'll go. There's a find a dealer page. Blue Sky you can buy right online. You just go and buy Blue Sky direct online.
Gotcha.
Well, and we have dealers too. But the find a dealer page really works. So like for example, we're in Hot Springs, and our dealer that's local here is Ouachita Outfitters, and
Okay.
Don, the owner's here. He just sold one of the Angler 360s about an hour ago.
Awesome.
So he's got, and the cool thing about going to our dealer is that almost every one of our dealers has the full fleet of demo boats. So they want to put you on the water. They want you to try it. So you get to go, and some of them charge a rental fee, maybe $20, $25 for the day. But you take the boat out, they'll show you everything. You'll go on the water, have a great day fishing, bring it back. And you can either say, yeah, that's the boat for me, or maybe you try a different one. And usually the way they do it, if you try 5 different boats and you're like, oh, that's the boat I want, really cheap. Like it's cheap to demo them, but then they'll take off whatever they charge you for the demo price if you buy one. So it's pretty sweet. And then, of course, like with my Ranger, I still got to put oil in the engine. I got to buy gas. I got to have a tow vehicle. I got to insure it. With a kayak, you throw it in the backyard. It snows on it, the heat. I mean, indoors better than outside, but it's all good to go. Nothing to break. Just no maintenance. So once you've paid for the boat, you're good to go for as long as you want.
It's a done deal. Eric, dude, it's always a pleasure to have you
Thanks, Patrick.
on this show, man. And we enjoy your passion for kayaking.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Enjoy your passion for fishing.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thanks for having
Eric
me.
Jackson right here live from the Forrest Wood Cup 2018. I'm Pat Renwick, Ryan Popcorn Whitaker. Hey, put the power poles down. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with some legends. of
Power
the
pole
sport
down.
very soon.
That's awesome. That's powerful.